Meeting will come to order and the clerk will call the roll.
Alder Arnson? Balde? Bedar Seeloff? Carter? Cheeks? Fairman? Harrington McKinney? Kemble? King? Martin? Palm? Fair? Rummel? Skidmore? Tierney? Verveer? Wood? Zellers? Aaron's? All right, Mayor, we have quorum.
Quorum present, the council's in session. Yeah. Alderman Baldeth, do you want to make the motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Motion. I'm having a hard time hearing Alderman Baldeth. Please, go ahead.
Motion so moved. Suspend the rules.
Is there a second? Motion is second.
So I'll read the suspension of the rules. Suspend Rule 2.04, Order of Business 2.05, Introduction of Business 2.24, Ordinances and 2.25 Resolutions for items so designated on the agenda.
Thank you. There is a second. On the question of suspension, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 1 is a petition received in Madison City Clerk's office on February 9th from Hooper Corporation regarding attachment from the town of Burke to the City of Madison. That should be referred for introduction, correct, Alderman Baldwin? You move that for referred?
I'll move item number 1, legislative file number 54320, petition received in Madison City Clerk's office February 8, 2019 from Hooper Corporation regarding attach from the town of Burke to the City of Madison.
Thank you. Motion is second to refer it. On the question of discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. That takes us to, let's see, we've got public hearings, which we don't do until 6:45, but we do have one early registration on item number 29. So why don't we take up this registration from Natasha Satin, supporting item number 29, wishing to speak. Natasha? Please use that, yes.
Hi, thank you, everyone. My name is Natasha Satin. I'm here as the Managing Director of Make Music Madison. This is my second year in this role, and we are here in support of the recommendations put forth by the Madison Task Force on Equity in Music and Entertainment. Make Music Madison is a city-funded free outdoor music festival held annually on June 21st, and we are in our 7th year. On this day, our city hosts between 250 to 400 concerts that take place at about 100 locations all across our city. Any musician at any level, at any genre can perform. We are just one of 800 cities around the world that participates in this global celebration on June 21st. And because of continued city support and an enthusiastic music community, Madison has become one of the largest participants among 78 American cities. We have about 20,000 local and regional visitors who attend music on this day. However, hip-hop artists are vastly underrepresented in our event and in music festivals across Madison. We are working to create a more diverse and inclusive event. We believe that the items listed in the report will significantly improve Madison's music culture, not just for hip-hop and other artists, but supporting these initiatives benefits the artists and the audience as well. Citizens of Madison will have the chance to hear new music, and artists will have access to new audiences. So it is our hope that the recommendations, such as city support for hip-hop festivals, designating a full-time equity in music staff person, addressing transportation disparities, and creating a hip-hop incubator will effectively address the serious inequities that exist for many of our local artists. We believe this plan is well-researched and comprehensively addresses needs on many levels. So we urge you to adopt these recommendations put forth by the task force. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any questions of the registrant? Seeing none, thank you very much. At this time, we can move the adoption of the consent agenda.
All right, so okay, at this point, we'll present the consent agenda. At this time, a consent agenda will be moved with the recommended action listed for each item except items which have registrant wishing to speak. Number 2, items which require extraordinary roll call, vote, and are not included on the consent agenda by unanimous consent. Number 3, items which all the person or persons have separated out for discussions or debate purposes. The item we have on the consent agenda, item number 2 to number 3, are public hearing items. The following items are extra majority items. Extra majority items vote. Majority items will be recorded as unanimous vote unless a roll call or exclusion is requested. Item 32, legislative file number 54189, is a substitute amending the 2019 water utility budget for a net neutral budget transfer of $1,469,000 from the water utility operating budget to the capital budget to align expenditure with capitalization policy standard. Item 35, legislative file number 54390, amending the police department's 2019 operating budget, authorizing the chief of police to sign a University of Illinois contract for services for MPD officers to train the Center for Public Safety and Justice curriculum on diversity and inclusion for law enforcement. Item 36, legislative file number 54412, amending the 2019 engineering facilities management capital budget to accept up to $125,000 on focus on energy incentive checks and authorize up to $125,000 of additional expenditure appropriation to spend the incentive received via the engineering sustainability improvement capital program. Item 42, legislative file number 54493, amending the 2019 sanitary sewers utility capital budget to transfer $330,000 in existing budget authority from the Trent Lakes Sewer Rehabilitation Program to the Lift Station Rehabilitation Program to provide additional funding to bid and replace the James Street Lift Station. Item 45, legislative file number 54532, substitute authorizing the city's Economic Development Division to submit for a $250,000 grant from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation Community Development Investment Grant Program. The following items are still extra majority items. Item 47, legislative file number 54560. This is the second substitute amending the 2019 adopted operating budget to transfer $275,250 from the contingent reserves to the Community Development Division to help pay for the family support services at the 3-lane apartment, and authorizing competitive services contract with the Road Home Dane County for case management services and Louisiana Community Education Center and Wisconsin Youth Company, Elva Park Neighborhood Center for youth programming for a period of time ending with the conclusion of requests for proposal process undertaken to select providers for those services, but not beyond December 31st, 2019. Agenda item part of the consent agenda with additional recommendations as noted. Item 30, legislative file number 54496, establishing an ad hoc complete count committee and making a commitment to work with the Census Bureau to ensure complete count of City of Madison residents in 2020 census. Item 55,
The report of the CCEC.
Oh, yeah. A report of the Common Council Executive Committee was made. So we did make a few adjustments to the report, but then it passed.
To add a member of the CCEC.
Right. So the recommendation from CCEC was to add a member of the council who is a member of the CCEC as well. Item 55, legislative file number 54147, Charter Ordinance, amending section 3.055 of the Madison General Ordinance to transfer the functions of the city treasurer to the finance director. Items referred. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So, so also this came to CCEC. We did a few changes to this. Basically, it's a realignment of what was in the resolution with.
And referred it to next meeting.
And then this was referred to next council meeting. Legislative file number, item 53, legislative file number 54146, creating section 4.01, subsection 7 of the Madison General Ordinance to transfer the office of the city treasurer to the finance department and make the finance director the city treasurer. This also came to council, to CCEC. It is recommended to come back at our next council meeting, which is March 5th. There are also some few changes with this. Item 60, legislative file number 54764, creating section 8.19, subsection 1A3, and amending the title of section 8.191 of the Madison General Ordinance to prohibit dogs in any portion of a building that is occupied by the city. Item number 84, legislative file number 54777, creating the task force on PFAS contamination and polyfluoroalkyl substance to review, analyze, and provide recommendation for a comprehensive response to PFAS contamination in Madison. Items on the exclusion list continues. Item 33, legislative file number 54202, authorizing a non-competitive service contract with NC Center Marriage and Family Therapy, LLC, for mental health case management and community programming for Southeast Asian elders and individuals with mental health needs of up to $115,000 from the adopted 2019 City of Madison operating budget of the Community Development Division. Item 44, legislative file number 54514, substitute, authorizing the issuance of a request for proposal to seek a developer to complete the private portion of the George Doyle Square, Block 88. I think this item also came to finance or to CCEC, and so there are a few adjustment made to it, but I think we are still voting on it later today.
On a third substitute.
Right. Item 58, legislative file number 53955, second substitute, amending the city 2019 operating budget to transfer $165,000 from the contingent reserves to the Community Development Division, authorizing a sole source contract with 3 Lane Apartment, LLC, for the purpose of helping to fund services designed to enhance the safety, security, and well-being of residents living in and around the 3 Lane Apartment property. Item 71, legislative file number 54587, resolution authorizing the Director of Public Health, Madison of Dane County, to sign a non-competitive service contract with the Safe Community Coalition of Madison and Dane County, Inc., for a drug poisoning and opioid harm reduction initiative. Those are the consent agenda items, Mayor.
Thank you. I want to get something understood here. Is 71 on the exclusion list? This is the one on the resolution on opioid and harm reduction initiative, or is that just for referral? So as part of the motion, 71 will not be excluded, but will be referred to the Public Safety Review Committee. Okay? Now that we've got that straight, I want to just review what we've got. Already on the exclusion list is 33, 44, and 58. We have registrations on 29, so that will be added to the exclusion list. And I want to note we have a registration on 47, but the person is available only to ask questions if there's an issue. So seeing...
Can you repeat the numbers, please?
Yeah, I will now go through the numbers on the exclusion list. They are 29, 33, 44, and 58. Any other items? Alderman Verveer?
Thank you, Mayor. Could President Balday please repeat what the recommended action by the Common Council Executive Committee was for agenda item number 30? That would be part of this consent motion? I didn't quite understand.
Number 30, establishing ad hoc committee, count committee, and making a commitment to work with the. So the recommendation of CCEC was to add a member of the city council, but that person must also be a member of CCEC.
So that amendment is part of the consent motion?
Yes.
Correct, okay, very good. And then I had a second item too, Mayor. As part of the consent motion, I would ask that we also include agenda item number 57 with the referral to the next Common Council meeting on March 5th, given that the Common Council Executive Committee recommendation to refer items 55 and 56, which are related, as part of the consent motion, we should also refer item 57, which was not before CCEC tonight, to the next Common Council meeting to keep
Okay,
these
that'll be
three
noted. If there's no
items
objection,
together.
57 will include that referral, correct?
I think we talk about 57, but it does not relate to the two items that were referred to finance, so we thought there was no need.
Let's exclude 57. There's too much controversy. This is supposed to be a consent agenda. If there's disagreements, we'll pull 57.
Thank you.
57 is pulled.
Okay.
So, again, the consent agenda is the adoption of all the recommendations as described, with the exception of the adoption of the public hearing items, which is items 2 and 3. Is 3 a public hearing item?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And then items 29, 33, 44, 57, and 58. Anything else? If not, on the motion, which is to adopt the consent agenda, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. That takes us to
Item number 1.
item number 2.
2.
Declare a public hearing open on amending a section of the ordinances to amend the campus institutional master plan for Edgewood College. The recommendation to the council is to re-refer to the Plan Commission. There are no registrations. The hearing's open, and we will not close it. And at this time, Alderman Baldock, I'd be more than happy to take a motion to re-refer item 2 to the Plan Commission.
Item 2, so moved.
Is there a second? There is. On item number, we'll come to a vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 3, declare public hearing open on discontinuing and vacating a portion of Grass Camp Way, and the recommendation of the council is to adopt. The hearing is open. There are no registrations, and consequently, I will close the hearing and ask for a motion to adopt. Alderman Baldock?
Item 3, so moved.
Is there a second to adopt item 3? There is. Motion is second. On item 3, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. That takes us to item 29. Is there a motion to adopt item 29, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second. We have a registration from Karen, I think it's Reese. I'm not sure, Reese or Pierce? Okay. Reese, please. Thank you. I'm sorry. Supporting, wishing to speak. She'll be followed by Pascal Bailey, who will be followed by Rob Franklin. Please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us tonight. Oh. Okay, now we're on. Thanks for having us tonight. We really appreciate the support that we've gotten from many council members through committees and throughout this process. The report that you're looking at tonight was a result of about 7 years of work officially to get a task force before you, and a couple of decades of work within the community looking at equity in our music and entertainment scene in Madison. Madison really prides itself on being a cultural center, featuring all kinds of entertainment, arts, and music from many different genres and people from across the city. We do still see a vast underrepresentation, specifically of artists of color, and as this task force was focused on hip-hop music, and we're really looking at ways that we can recommend within the city to complement other efforts towards equity, to see more representation on stages so that we can reach more people and reach the needs of people in our community. My comments tonight, I do appreciate your vote to accept the report, but I do want to express a little bit of disappointment throughout this process that we are only accepting the report at this time. We have a number of very well thought out recommendations that community members put a lot of time and effort into. And again, very happy to be where we are today to move forward. But I do want to let you know that this won't be the last time you're hearing about this report. The community is very motivated to see these recommendations implemented. The task force had very good representation from staff, very confident, very helpful. However, we did not see some of the resources that other commissions and task forces have seen, such as the Oscar Mayer Planning Commission, and other committees who had resources for research or report writing or other kinds of staff support. So we will be looking in the future for support from council members to put in the necessary work to define some of the questions that were left in this report, such as what are the fiscal requirements of some of these recommendations, what specific staff people will be affected within the city, where should things be housed, and then again, how much will all of these things cost, so that the city council members and committees can make educated decisions about this. So I will be looking forward to continued support from alders. I do appreciate any recommendations that you see on this report. If they ring your bell, if they're in your area of interest, we will be reaching out to look for ways to make sure that we do see these recommendations carried forward, that we do see the work put in, so that we can maintain equity in our entertainment scene and then have impact beyond that in the many areas where we need to work on equity in this city. So with that, again, thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Peckle Bailey, is that correct?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Excuse me. Yes.
Karen to come back.
Pardon?
Question from Karen, or? Or we gonna do it
No,
later?
we'll do questions when all the speakers are done.
Oh,
That's how we normally do it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Thank you. I just wanted to add my perspective. I'm a founding member of the organization that conducted this research, so I'm acutely aware of the inequities that exist based on our partnership with the University of Wisconsin, who's conducted the research using police data over the span of 8 to 10 years. But I'm also, as of 12 years ago, a working musician, specifically with the hip-hop art form. So from an economic standpoint, there's an entire community of individuals in the city who are not as fortunate as I've been. I've been fortunate enough to sustain myself for those 10 to 12 years, been lucky to have #1 records, top 10 records. It's not something that's common, however, though. And I would love for this opportunity to be extended to everybody in the city. The communities affected. It's a matter of equity, but it's also a matter of sustainability, and it's a matter of creating a local arts and entertainment economy, which I don't believe, as an insider, truly exists. And so I thank all of you for considering the report that's in front of you and moving forward on this particular motion. Thank you.
Thank you. The next registrant's Rob Franklin. While Rob's coming up, I want to point out we've got 3 additional registrations not wishing to speak but supporting: Joseph Vitale, Roy Elkins, and George. It's either Maud or Marte. I can't read it, but Maud, thank you. Rob?
Is this thing on? Okay. Basically, it's this, man. We put a lot of time, effort into coming up with this report. There's a separation in getting resources to pull this all off. And if we're going to really achieve equity, in my opinion, I think that we need to find a way to make this all work. Like I said, I've been a musician in this town for a while. And I've seen the challenges trying to become a full-time musician here. I agree with Paul wholly. But at this time, we need to do more than just give lip service. We need to figure out a way to start implementing these plans and getting things to roll. And that's the way you'll see that equitable lens that we're all trying to strive for. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Are there any questions of any of the registrants? Alderman Verveer?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question of the task force chairperson, Dr. Reese. Yeah. First and foremost, thank you so much for all of your efforts, Karen. I know that this has been a labor of love for you for many, many, many years, and I'm sorry that it took so many years for us to finally create the task force, something that you attempted to do, again, a long time ago originally. The reason why I wanted to ask you, though, to come forward and answer a question is I have to admit I was a bit perplexed in your testimony when you stated that you were disappointed that we're being asked tonight to only accept the report rather than adopt the report. I remember that December Alcohol License Review Committee meeting where we were all together in this very chamber, and we spent a lot of time talking about the differences between accept and adopt. And I clearly remember you saying that night that you were fine with the report being accepted rather than adopted. So I'm just wondering, and with that said, I should acknowledge that I think we were the second committee you had visited with back in December. Could you just share with us, and obviously many alders saw this as it went through the committee process, and obviously also special thanks to our aldermanic representative on the task force, Alderperson Martin, for her efforts. But could you just explain why your thinking changed and why you believe that accepting rather than adopting is unfortunate tonight, please?
Sure, and thanks for that question. So by the time we got to committees, and I mentioned this in several committee meetings, and I believe that night as well, that this process has been, as you know, from a community member standpoint, a very confusing one to navigate. Trying to learn open records process. I've chaired many committees in my professional history, and it's very difficult to navigate those kinds of things. I found it very difficult working with many different alder people and city staff to identify what really are the processes that this kinds of thing would go through. When we asked many times what would happen when the report came back to council. And we did get some ambiguous answers throughout that. So this was really a learning process every step of the way. At every step we got in this process, by discussing the process with committees, learning how things proceed through the Common Council, through committees, and to actually becoming something that's implemented by the Common Council. So by the time we had gotten to the ALRC meeting, the ship had kind of already sailed, so to speak. We had the resolution presented, we had it moving through committees, we had the report written, and it was clear that there were certain things that would have helped to have considered earlier on in the process, such as what kinds of resources did we really need from city staff to be able to complete within a year the kinds of things that the council will be looking for, such as detailed fiscal analysis. And what does detailed fiscal analysis really mean? So when I say I'm disappointed about being only accepted, it's sort of a culmination of all of the things along with this entire process. I'm not aware of a handbook or anything that kind of outlines the process, or even the definition of accept versus adopt was something that in every single committee we presented before had to be defined, discussed, and then understood as a committee. And so even representatives who have been on committees for a very long time, even some alder members, were not 100% clear on what these kinds of things meant. So just sort of as a general commentary in how citizens are able to engage with the Common Council and with our elected officials, and this goes to the heart of the equity issue, even for things like obtaining a liquor license for a new business, or obtaining a sound permit or knowing that you need to do those things to have a party in the park, for example. This goes to the heart of the equity issue and having accessibility to the process by citizens in the city. So I just want to make sure that that's made very clear in this process. And it would be very easy for us you know, you run out of time and you run out of energy, that, you know, all of you are doing this and recognize that as well. But it'd be very easy for us to go through this year of work and planning and say, I can't, you know, I don't have any more gas in the tank, it's accepted, which is basically saying, hey, look, you wrote a report, you know? So rather than saying, hey, there's recommendations here that we need to take responsibility to ensure that something is done about them. And so there's kind of a big gap between the accept and the adopt terminology. And I just want to make it very clear that from a community perspective, we are very well looking forward to the future and looking to the point where not only we adopt these recommendations, but that resources, sufficient resources are put behind these recommendations, and also sufficient support by agencies that are represented in this room to ensure that those recommendations are implemented to meet the needs of the community.
I really appreciate your explanation, Karen. I don't know if this is a follow-up question or not, but let me just say that I know that you were supported by the Department of Civil Rights, and I know that they, I'm sure, tried their level best to support the needs of the task force, and I'm just sorry that that fell short. But the one thing I will say, maybe you can just educate my colleagues on this. The one other specific I remember from our ALRC discussion was when you, I think, stood at that podium over there and told us that you tried in vain to have the police department participate in your discussions and your deliberations, and you never once had a representative of the MPD appear at a single meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I'm really sorry that that was the case too, because obviously when you read the report, their participation would have been extremely valuable.
Mm-hmm. And to respond, I don't have any criticism of the Department of Civil Rights. It's just a matter of when the resolution was passed and it was decided what kind of resources would be allocated to support the task force. That's when the decision needed to be made that we would need more resources than, you know, just piling a few hours on an already busy staff person's time. That's kind of what happened there. So I have no criticism of our staff person's commitment and the work that they did. Definitely appreciate that. And the police department was involved in this early on when we started having conversations about the task force. When the task force was getting going, I did speak directly to downtown Captain Friedman about having a representative, and he suggested making sure Gloria Reyes, Deputy Mayor Gloria Reyes, was able to recommend that. And I don't know what happened in that process, but we weren't able to have representation at the table. And as you mentioned, that is a very critical piece. And when I talk about agency support, that is primarily above and beyond just fiscal resources. That is primarily what I'm referring to, is agencies being able to get behind these kinds of things and speak into them to make sure that the implementation plans are developed in a way that they will be effective and not divisive.
Thank you again for your clarifications, and moreover, thanks.
Thank you.
I don't want any of this process stuff to overshadow the good work that you and Rob as vice chair and the whole task force did, so thank you very much.
Alderwoman Kemble?
Yeah, echo that about the impact of that report that it has had on me and others as you've been going around to committees. And really, I mean, to me, it was so eye-opening to see the perspective you brought to all of these issues that we're talking about all the time in the city: policing, transportation, housing, community economic development. Like, you just had, your committee had your finger on those issues from a perspective of arts and culture in the underrepresented communities in Madison. That was just really enlightening, and that I think about every time I'm working on these other content areas. So thank you so much. It's not that it's not having an impact, because it certainly isn't in my thought, and I know I'm not alone in that. And I want to commend you and Martha from Civil Rights for all the work they did. But I think having been on other, you know, at the same time I was on the Oscar Mayer another ad hoc committee where there were, you know, consistently 4 staff members, department heads, you know, a lot more than just one departmental staff person giving you that support you need. And I'll also mention in your response to Alder Verveer around the process issues and the confusion, even from a very sophisticated, highly educated, really experienced person like you having difficulty with the process. The Task Force on Government Structure has been hearing from
Supposed to be a question.
Okay, it is a question about the specific, but I also, I want to address her concerns. And then I'll ask the question.
Debate the resolution.
Okay. So my question is, what do you envision to be the next specific steps forward for the support that you and the committee members see in moving some of these recommendations forward?
Sure. So one item would be to get resources to actually complete the fiscal analysis that would be necessary to develop implementation plans. The first recommendation in the report is about hiring a city staff person, and one of their primary duties would be to do things like this, would be to interface with the community to make sure community understands how to access these kinds of processes. And this was one of the ways that this task force came to be was way back when we had the alcohol policy coordinator, Mark Wolf. We had that position in the city. That was one of the reasons that the community was able to access these processes, because we had a staff person that was able to take the time to do that interfacing. So that kind of thing is very critical to making it happen. And then the third next step, I was recommended by the executive committee to meet with the council chief of staff and the legislative aide and figure out some next strategic steps for different, do we need a new resolution? Do we need to just interface with specific older people on the council? So those I would say are the three main next steps.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Rummel?
Thank you, and I want to add my thanks to your work. I kind of followed, the work, and you really dig down, so I appreciate that. So hearing what you're saying, when I look through the recommendations at the front end, there seems like there's a lot of things in 1 year and 5 year, et cetera. So if I take my brain and try to pull out what would I help you, how we move it forward, it's something, maybe be it finally resolved that the recommendations be referred to the ALRC, Madison Arts Commission, EOC, and CCEC to follow up on data collection, training for equity partners and venue staff, and to use the ResJ tool. I mean, there could be more. And then send it to those committees within 6 months to keep it live. Something like that might be a way to, not necessarily do all the things in it, but say, okay, where are we? So it doesn't sit on a shelf.
Sure. Thanks.
But if people like that idea, I can keep working on it. And if you have comments, like what you think could be part of that to make that more, give you comfort.
Sure. Yeah, I think it'll need to be a little bit of a discussion process. Now that I know what kinds of questions to ask, that'll be helpful. But yeah, thanks for that suggestion.
Further questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The motion before us is adoption of the item. Discussion on the question. Alderwoman Rummel.
Well, if other people are going to speak, I'd take a few more minutes, but if everyone's going to just vote for it, I will stumble out loud. Are there other
Well,
people in the
there's
queue?
at least 3 people
Okay.
who wish to speak besides you. Alderman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to say thank you as a member of the task force. I want to say thank you to Karen and to Rob as chair and vice chair for all the hard work that they've put in. I want to thank all of the folks that have participated in this, the task force members, as well as city staff who have helped us along this process. It's been a really interesting process for me, my first kind of task force in this sense. And I think that this has been a really interesting process. The word equity has kind of become a buzzword these days, and to a certain extent, maybe kind of loses some of its meaning because we just look at it as something that we're supposed to strive for, but we're really not sure what it is. And this is kind of a microcosm of issues that we face in this city. And I think that the way that we approach this and the very extremely thoughtful process in which the task force approached all of these issues, and I can't even begin to gush about how great this process has been from a task force perspective. I also want to acknowledge the work that the folks did before we even got this task force, so we could have this conversation and this discussion about how we make this city more equitable in any sense of the word. I think that this will have both a symbolic as well as a real impact once we can get first we get these recommendations accepted, but then as we take the process forward and get more assistance, more fiscal analysis, more in-depth analysis as to how we can make these recommendations a reality. And I really look forward to working with both Karen, Rob, other members of the task force, city staff, and council staff as well, to keep this process going so that we can make steps forward in equity towards our city in whatever form that we can. So thank you guys so much.
Alderman Fair?
Thank you. Alder Rummer, I hope I won't stumble through my thoughts here, but I think I might. I just wanted to add that it seems to me in listening to Karen's testimony and the good questions, that this is, whenever we have a task force come back or some sort of committee come back with recommendations, this is really the time and place for, and this is no blame to anybody, but just sort of going forward, for council leadership and chief of staff and legislative analysts to be used for what they're there for, to move these sorts of things forward and help the council in that capacity that we've been building and trying to build, to appropriate those recommendations or to, aggregate them and put them together, prioritize them, think about them in the budget context, that kind of thing, to really, because otherwise there's so many things, as we all know, that are before us and we're reacting to literally on a daily basis, that this is why we've tried to add capacity to the council, or one of the reasons anyway. We're going to have a huge task force report coming, in the next, 3-4 months, that we're also going to have to be, I won't be, but you guys will be, dealing with. And so I think it's really important that we have leadership that helps with that. I think that's part of the role of leadership. So that's all I want to say.
Alderman Kimball?
So just to finish my thoughts that I was inappropriately expressing during question time about, but they relate to your testimony, Karen, about that confusion and different levels of support to boards, commissions, and committees, and the task force on government structure has been hearing that and working on exactly that issue to come up with recommendations to address that, including your second bullet point here, city staff person, help people access processes, and not just one, but multiple cities.
Sorry, I just had trouble with the display here, and if you hang on 1 second, I think I can get it fixed. Try it now.
Got it, thanks. So, actually, to really focus the support for residents to participate, not only formally in boards, commissions, and committees, but in the everyday decisions that agencies are making, to inform those decisions in have that be much more clear and obvious to residents about how they can do that. So I guess that is to say you are not alone in your frustration. It's a structural problem, and it's not any one person's or staff people's fault. It's a systemic issue that this greater task force is really taking on and will come out with recommendations.
Alderwoman Rummel?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion. Be it finally resolved that the report, the task force on equity in music and entertainment, be referred to the Common Council and council staff for follow-up on recommendations.
That's an amendment to the main motion?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Discussion.
I would just like to follow up, I think Alder Fair's comment about framing it with the council being the lead and not trying to put it to committees is made me decide to kind of flip it, so I hope you'll support. And I see,
Thank you.
welcome
Alderman
any
Baldoff, you were
tweaks.
next. Do you want to speak on the amendment?
I just want to speak on the discussion around council leadership.
All right, why don't I see if there's anybody else first on, on council leadership? Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, when Karen came to CCEC, we all welcomed the report and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't know, council leadership can act on the report until when it is adopted or however we move forward with it. We definitely are looking forward to working with council staff and any other alder who is interested in moving it forward.
Alderwoman Bedard-Seeloff?
So I'll just disclose that I understand what Alder Rommel wants to do, but I'm a little confused about what you're asking us to do. Is to refer it to the council or to refer to the council staff?
Well, I was thinking both, but I would take your advice.
Because I'm just not sure that we can refer the report back to ourselves. It just will come back to our agenda with no particular other action. So maybe, I'll just filibuster. Maybe it would be good to like ask, maybe the last clause would be to ask council chief of staff to outline a course of action based on the recommendation, like specific next steps based on the recommendation, and bring that to CCEC.
Alderman Fair?
That was I was going to say that.
Alderwoman Carter?
Yes, it is my understanding, and Karen, you can shake your head yes or no because you were there, that after the MAC meeting, it was my understanding that, and maybe it was at CECC, that you would still be available to work with, and some of the members, if they choose to, would still be available. You weren't committing them, but you did commit yourself to continue to work with council staff. Is that correct? Thank you. So I think that bringing it back to us or CCEC is different from our last discussion on how we would go forward, because I believe the task force has ended. Am I right? Okay, thank you.
There's nobody else in the queue. The motion before us right now is Alderwoman Rummel's amendment. Alderwoman Rummel.
Mayor, how do I change my amendment? Do I have to make a new amendment?
What
or
I would
can
suggest you
ask
do
of
to
the
make it,
will of the body?
what I would suggest you do to make it least complicated is first ask the body if there's any objection to withdrawing the amendment and then making the new amendment as you'd like to see it adopted.
Thank you, I would like that.
Is there any objection to the withdrawal of the amendment? There is none. We're back at first base. We have the motion before us to be adopted. Alderman Rummel, you have an amendment?
Mostly. Be it finally resolved that the council directs the council chief of staff to present next steps to Common Council Executive Committee.
Is there a second to that amendment? Motion and a second. Discussion. Discussion? Seeing none on the amendment, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no? Motion carries. We now have the main motion as amended. There is no one else in the queue. Discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on the resolution as amended. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no? Motion carries. Okay, that takes us, we have, let me see here. We have 3 items left on the agenda. Is it 3 or 4? 4. But let me make sure I have clear on what they are. There's 33, 44, 58, and what am I missing? 57. And 57, I'm sorry, thank you. All right, I just want to point out that we've got over 30 registrants to speak on item 33, and it's also my understanding that on 44 and 58, there are substitutes, and that there appears to be consensus on those 2 items, on those substitutes. Just want to point that out to the council. And we have 1 speaker on 58. Item 33 is the next item before us. Is there a motion, please? On 33. Alderwoman Bedar-Seeloff.
I'll move the alternate resolution for adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second on the alternate resolution. Here's a second. We have, as I said, over 30 speakers.
Miss, can the chair explain what the alternate is so people know?
Why don't you do it? You've got the floor.
Sorry. So the alternate resolution is a resolution that requests that the city do an RFP process to allocate the $115,000 that are in the budget.
Any questions on that? If not, I'll call several names at a time so that people know who they're following. The first registration, and I'm not going to say opposed or supporting because we now have the substitute and that may cause confusion. People will indicate themselves what their position is. Chauvet is the first registration. Nancy Vetran is the second registration. Ton Vang is the third registration. And I want to point out that both microphones are available for speakers. Why don't you make sure I got it right?
Okay. So, Honored Mayor and also our council member, we are representing the ICM tonight. We are interpreter as well as the Khmer. So we just want to reassure with the agency that we're here tonight. So we're neutralizing everything that they'll be speaking tonight will be directly and will be speaking that. So just want to reassure that.
Thank you.
今年就只晓得看到那点么那多呢我我古天也说小姐我老公和 ICM 多呢只小姐那能得一路诶看到那点么而且老那也么ถาม么有别เลยเขาเปียเตาในใส่เลยเขาในต้องการใส่นะ And we also had the two Khmer interpreter tonight too, so they want to introduce, say to the community as well.
Here's the three speakers that will be first.
Okay. Just say English and then say.
Hi, my name is Saran Oak. I'm a representative of ICM. Hello, ជំរាបសួរខ្ញុំ Saran Oak ហើយខ្ញុំអ្នកបកប្រែខ្មែរជាមួយ ICM.
Hello, my name is Sambo. I am an interpreter for ICM. ជំរាបសួរថ្ងៃនេះខ្ញុំអ្នកបកប្រែជាមួយ ICM.
And my name is Nia Shua, and I also represent ICM for Hmong interpreter.
And I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Phil Yang, also representing the ICM for Hmong interpreter. Okay. So. Okay. Yeah. So how we're going to do this tonight is mostly will be consecutive. Once we get someone who's speaking English, then we'll do simultaneously. So as she speaks, I will translate, so that will help with the process. It may be a little bit slow.
那古要早问，古有多少海路中叫，你就知了要叫叫那叫我呢。
My name is Cha Wu, and would like to speak to all the council member tonight.
头路狗领都200个亿，别的都还肉，别的动作都没有太多，要做让做多种的弄。
I remember last year, October of 2018, we came to this room, and I have some photo here to prove.
那古路些啥嘛，古啥个，你那边要叫做呢？那个了，这里么半年了，8都别叫老，别叫老叫人多多。 多，你那这了人有多，要几么，那半年了就白几好么就到了，我了不么一都老哎，要多存这么好呢？
I'm asking the council to rethink about tonight about the budget. that we have spent quite a bit of time to come and asking for your help. Many of us are struggling with the service that we need to get, and so we're asking for your help tonight.
Cú xã cho chứ chồng tôi tụi mẹ giờ xã có nữ mua có muốn chia bé cho lâu cho nhảy thia em nữ chỉ tham mua bón chim lông tụi năng chẳng chăng hay khó chẳng chăng là chị nữ rong có nữ chính chẳng bé nữ chia bé cho lâu rong có đi phèn kiện cho nữ sư.
And this message is also particularly with the honored mayor. We really want you to consider this as such an important issue to us as the elderly.
Giờ tụi năng đa nó chỉ là hòn rừng, tụi tôi chỉ mua ít tụi năng tôi thì thái chỉ một tờ nó chỉ là hòn rừng, chỉ xã còn nó cho lên tờ, xã còn nó cho có muốn chia bé thia.
And we would like to think about this process as you council members as well as mayors to look at the process, the truth behind this, the elders that we are in need of your support.
Bé chỉ do thì chỉ mua sở sa bé do sở sa cho tụ, ta chỉ dùng cổ liên nên chia bé chỉ đi là chỉ dùng cổ liên thế thì mua bé phèn kiện cho nên ta do sư, quan nó cho bé cái tụ xe cho nên.
And we're asking for your fairness and also justice about the process here, that it has to be fair and equity.
Cô hay lo cơn cô nè yo lo vậy tu cho nó nè tu sa có bé cho bé sừng bom bả cho nè nè thì tàu là vậy tu cho thì tàu là vậy tu lúc rồi linh đạo sư.
And as you are elected official for representing our community here, we also want to make sure that you are thinking the process that is fairly, and thank you so much for your support. Okay. All right. The next here is Nancy Wu.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Vu Tran, and I am the board president of the Southeast Asian Healing Center, which is formerly the Kashia House under Journey. The Southeast Asian Healing Center comprises two programs, former Kashia House and the Kamai Healing Temple. The elders are here to talk tonight, and I wanted to give you some context. They have not been coached, they have not been co-opted. They are here to say what they have to say, and I want to give some context that whatever they're going to say is whatever they're going to say. Thirdly, I'm here to ask that this become a fair and transparent process through the request for proposal process. I volunteered with the Southeast Asian Healing Center since Journey closed its doors on them after 17 years of service. And in October 2018, when we found out that the community had been co-opted by two individuals, Mai Zhongvu and Peng He, and that this process was not going in line with what the elders wanted, I stepped back in and I met with Mayor Soglin along with folks from the Community Development Division, and we were told that we had to go back and speak to these two individuals and come up with a compromise. That did not happen, but we were surprised when this did not go to RFP, and we were forced to have to come to many more hearings with our elders to try to persuade many committees that this had to go to a fair and transparent process. You will find through the request for proposal process that the Southeast Asian Healing Center will be able to demonstrate that we have the capacity to run services for Southeast Asian elders. Doa Vang has been running this program for over 20 years. He has staff that has been with him for 10 to 15 years. They go into the 2019 year with $50,000 of funding from other sources. They have staff that can't become rehabilitation worker certified so they can generate revenue through CCS. They did not have their doors closed because they were incompetent. They had their doors closed because staff at Journey neglected to renew a contract that generated revenue for their services, and not due to incompetence. So we know that Doa and his staff are competent. We know that the elders who have come to testify you time and time again follow and trust Doa and his staff, and they will never ever seek services from Anesis or Hmong Institute. Hmong Institute and Anesis will never be able to generate the revenue that they need to provide these services, because these elders, as you will hear from tonight, are here to follow and seek services from Doa and his staff. Southeast Asian Healing Center runs 3 times weekly at the 1810 South Park address. They run 9 to 1 p.m. and I'm there to visit and observe them. And every time I go, the elders are happy and excited that they are there. But we know that an RFP process will be a hardship for them. We know that it will delay funding that they direly need. But the Southeast Asian Healing Center, but for maybe 1 month, in 2018 has been operating on the use of 16 volunteers and 2 paid staff, which has been hired through a day services with Dr. Valerie Henderson, who is their clinical supervisor. But 16 volunteers have generated the support for Southeast Asian Healing Center. So please make this a fair and transparent process and go through an RFP.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Tu Vang. Tu hai lu ton de na ya tu va cha ka thi la ka la.
Và do xe nó nào của tàu cắt tuần là tàu hải lũ tàu chân nào chim nào.
I'm happy to be here again to speak to the Common Council.
Và thầu cho nên chừng tổ bé của cô ấy tu trả nó phải thầu trả lọ.
When the original Journey program was still up and running, I'm one of the transportation driver.
Là tàu cho bé ngoài này nó cho tỷ chế lô tờ.
They have let us, who works at the Okashia, let us go.
Giờ đến đó cho lò những nhớ xe của cô và này nó vào hồi đó lò tàu chi luôn thì nó lại.
Because of this lack of service for our elderly, I have been a volunteer for 5 months now.
Tôi chỉ là lúc rõ sự nhưng chỉ tàu nhẹ chỉ cho nhẹ yếu cho thâu cho lầu tôi một đầu tí có lấy mua lúc sợ xin chi thì是cho nó chỉ mua cho nhẹ nó cho tôi một đầu khó chơi chỉ lại.
I don't mind my time and my energy as long as my elderly get the service. All of this because the funds are allocated wrong and they're not going to the right service.
Ta cho lầu nhớ xe vì khó cho lầu nhưng chỉ tao mua cái ba lon tờ mà giống thiết phê thế là ní là đi.
Because our elderly, they are stressed because they never receive any service from Anesis and Mahjong and Serpeng.
Giờ lên đó xã cả cho nó chú nó bắt xóa khó nhẹ nó giờ vào tàu xã cả là mua lọ cho bé cho lầu nhân tại bên đó còn này giờ tí cho vấn đềนู่mà tôi hải theo yên tâm một tôi hải cho liên nhiên tiền nó cho lại cho nó chú năm long lại.
So because we are here again to ask our state leaders, the Common Council, to reconsider that all the elderly behind us, they're here because they lack of the service and they want you to reconsider this allocation of these funds.
Giờ lên đó thầu cơ tổ chấm ngân hôm nay yên tàu thay đổi đó bé cho lầu yên dùng xe là để cho nhiều tôi rồi bé cho lầu cả cho lầu mua cái cá xe thì gì ta sẽ nói hay là tôi cho lầu chỉ mất cho nhớ thế nhớ xe hàng của lầu hà lina rồi tôi cho.
So in closing, the mayor have taken photos with our elderly here, promising this grant that will come to them. But now, that's not the case. And now all the elderly are very stressed because of the lack of service they don't receive. Thank you. Our next speaker is Yer Zhang Wang. Punza ka thi la la cha ka thi la ka mo ra china je la tha. I'm sorry, she cannot attend due to health issues. The next speaker is Du Donna Tao. Du Donna Tao ยาก็ที่เลยก็ไม่รู้นะเจรอท่ะ
là nó cúi giờ và tụ đã nạt thò
I'm Du Donna Tao.
nó nó cú thò hở cho nó cho chữ lời cho nó cho ở nhau lúc dây lúc rồi là nó.
First of all, I want to admire all the Common Council and all the leaders in here.
Nó cú tuần là nó cú giờ ít tuần nâng mua mò nó chua nhiều xe chua lúc xí hở giờ cho xe chỉ tu.
Just want to let you know that I'm here today because I have a lot of health issues. I have taken a lot of medications, and I'm only surviving, and my life is not ending right now.
Cú theo lý tua thọ cái ban đầu rồi cú chỉ giờ ít tuần nâng và là tua nhau tới chờ nó cú tu chỉ là cú ít tu trò nếu ta tàu ta chỉ nâng cú theo nhau xem bỏ lên nó cái tua thọ cái ba.
So because I lack of all the service, and I have been here numerous times to ask for all the service, and I am a surviving widow. My husband has passed away.
Đó nó cú do thọ cho để cho nó cho chứ và này tua đồ nó hay tiệt pay paper để nó do tí cho lâu lâu chỉ cho xong nên nó tạo cho cái tua sư thì是 I
ask you again because everyone here behind me are the elderly who lack of service, and now we have nowhere to turn to. We don't have any service. We don't know how much days left we have.
cho khai mạnh thia pe nhưng si cộng hạt thia pe là cho nhẹ bỏ lên tua hành đầu rầu thầu lũ cổ ly là cho trong ní nung nhẹ nó pe chỉ bỏ cho cái ba mà pe cú sa thia thọ cho nó cho chứ nó pe giờ nên nâng nó pe giờ nâng sa sai à nên pe cú giờ nên nâng nhau lũ dây lũ rồi nó.
Our elderly groups, along with the Kamai, everyone here, we all lack the service. And that's why we kept coming back numerous times to ask your help to provide the funds to service us. And we, time and time again, we're here to ask for your help to ask for the lack of service.
Nó nó của tua nó mà của thọ có này mấy giờ là một chỗ này cho tu sản chế nữa nó thọ có này lu pe chỉ tên là lu pe lu tao mua này cho nhiệt chia là ba đồ pe của trả này chính tranh đó là của thọ rồi cho lẩu nhau rồi sát tiền nó thế cho khai mạnh nhau tiền nó giờ bên này cái ba thì cho lẩu nữa có hai đứa này bao vào tiền cho nó chia tuột thọ cái ba chứ mà cú giờ là ôi tu hai lú đó này tiền cú thọ đó này còn này mua cho cái ba thế này mua cho cái nhân dân này chủ sửa cho cái nhân dân đó pe.
Myself, along with all the members behind me, we are here to ask for one thing, asking for the service that we need. And this goes for our mayor and the Common Council and all the community leaders, the state leaders in here. As you can see, everyone behind here, we lack the service, and we want you to consider the fund to go to us.
ไปมั่วตูจ่อยอวันตัวบ้าตูนอยอตูป้าเป้ไปจอเราเนาะเที่ยจังย่อตัวย่อหลงที่ปลายรัวเนาะย่อมั่วหนึ่งป้าตัวหนึ่งโง่ต่อยช่องเนาะไปที่มันจะเชียร์ย่อรู้เจรู้รอเนาะไปสาทอก่อนที่มั่วกุ้ยเนี่ยเนาะอีคอเราไฟตัวเป้เที่ยไฟตัวจะข้ามแม่งเที่ยเชียร์ย่อไฟตัวเป้ซื้อเป้เปิดเรื่องนี้ขอเก็บป้าหลอนแต่นี่จะหน่อยจะชื่อนะ
We have our leaders who had led us for 20 years. That's why we still surviving, and we still who we are today. And we want the money, the grant to go to our group, to us and to the Kamai here. And please, we need your help for the service.
thì cú lô hà liên nó nè sư ở tròn đó nè.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, the next person here is Nào Yi Thao. Tùng Dĩ là do Nào Yi Thao.
để nó cuối là gì thôi cuối tôi thả cho nó bé cho nó lẩu bắt đầu phân rồi thôi cho mình cả tôi nhớ lại bắt đầu phân rồi cho gì là cho phân này tôi ta là lấy thọ cái ba.
My name is Nào Yi Thao, and I'm representing the veteran as well as all the widow and widows during the war.
Còn mà thôi cho nó cho mình cho khiển rồi cho tan cho nó tầm lúa tôi sai biết nó cho rồi cho nó cho chú tôi sai biết nó cho bị sửa thế.
First of all, I want to say greeting and evening to Mr. Mayor, all the elected official, council members, as well as police officers who are here tonight.
Lúc cầu đi thu bây giờ lẩu là tôi tháo rồi cho nó cho chú này nó là tôi mua bao nhiêu là ta chỉ là chỉ cho lẩu nó chỉ nó chỉ làm mình ra cho cái rồi là nhon được cái rồi luôn nó ở phía đây chỉ cái rồi nó tháo rồi bây cho lẩu nó thì nó cái nó cho là bây là nó cho bây tôi xin chỉ cái cho lẩu nó cho hiện đại sự.
Ever since October 2018, we haven't received the service that we are promised to. We've been temporarily utilizing the Kajua, which is the Freedom Inc. and the Southeast Asian Healing Center.
Cho lô về thọ tôi thọ ấy cho bị nó tan nó cho bị nó nữa ấy cho nó cho và cho thọ cho nó cho chuyên nó có ba giờ rồi thế ba lưu rồi thế cho nhẹ có thọ mua rồi cho và lẩu thì nó yêu rồi thế có cho hiện đại.
As you can see on the back of my back here, these are elders and who are desperately need the kind of service that will help us here.
Chỉ thọ cho nó chú mua lúc mà anh chị thì lời trả nhị thì lời cho gì là cho thôi tôi cho kia cho cái tụ bóng đây là mua mình nhua tôi này cái là mua lời mà có sẽ trả cho tôi chứ.
And we're asking for all the council to reconsider this funding. These are widows and widows who have struggled during the war. Many of these going through a lot of depression. Many of them still have memories of the war, the struggle, all those casualties that has happened to them.
Cho bà đã phân rồi cho chỉ gì cho nó thôi và bảo tôi nhìn nó và America tôi nhà là của tây cho chỉ tôi trả lời chẳng nó cho bà đã phân rồi nó thì nhìn nó tôi nhớ có chiếc khoa đi nó có lời bà sai lời bà lưu thế.
And these are our former American allies fight during the Vietnam War in the 1960s, and these are considered widow as well as widow who are survivors of the war. That's all I got to say. Thank you so much. Okay. The next speaker here is Bliet Thao. Tun Dĩ là do Bliet Thao. Okay. Oh, okay. After this, there'll be C. Vang and Anna Vang. Ở tôi tất cả tụi nó ta chỉ là C. Va theo và Anna Va na nín ba theo. Just kind of go
tại
next.
nó cú yên biệt thọ
Okay.
cú pin thọ lu hồ bầu pi một cờ luôn gì
My name is Bria Tao. I want to kind of begin to start with a little bit beginning as well finishing.
pi tôi là hai chị nó lỡ khử lì lỡ sáng lúc bây giờ thì lâu thia bây giờ rong xe là tôi hay là rong xe giờ ba pe mà pe thay đua tí xì chia pe rong xe là vì ô cha ai cho nhẹ tập lại tua là hay mất trong lưỡi tua là mất trong ít khó rồi nó mà không nó ít khó giờ là sẽ chỉ tàu bây giờ lòng
I'm asking here tonight that this is not the first time that we come here, but before this, that we are given a promise that the fund will be going towards us, serving us, but so far we haven't received the service, and the service has gone to a different agency.
bây giờ chọn nhẹ tia tia bây thế tôi chọn cho thọ để chỉ ô cha cho nhẹ ham một bằng rồi ít khó rồi là bây giờ ô lý trả thia để chỉ lấy chừng cho tao nhẹ đây lấy chừng mua lao chạy hay tia bây giờ này lao chua chuyên xe cái nâng nó thia mà sai chỉ tao bây giờ lao ít khó thia.
And also, the fund hasn't been, we haven't received the fund yet, but we have heard that the agency has been making comments regarding that we are elder, we are dirty.
Bây giờ tôi hay lấy chừng hai tia bao nhiêu有么我一百家lần từ tôi số trâu lần từ chân chế số trâu mà lần tụng đại thế tàu bây giờ cho nên lần lâu bây chùa nữa bây giờ chùa ít lâu lù chỉ bao ít tụng đại chỉ bao.
And also we heard that the funding only be given to those who are literate, who can read and write, not for those who cannot read and write.
Cú xã lo mà lấy bao nhiêu đấy mà lấy xã mua ở trong đấy lấy sản ra bây cho nên lâu nó phèn cả đó chỉ tàu cơ.
So it sounds like this funding has been given a dispute and quite a bit of argument has been playing games.
Ta chỉ biết cho lâu nó sẽ biết chùa đấy, ít tuần đó chỉ bao ít lâu chỉ bao, biết vào thầu chạy là biết chỉ bao ta chỉ bao ăn chỉ liền, để chỉ lấy ra cho năng chơi, lấy cho năng chơi, chẳng bao tới, cho chạy lấy bao ta, lâu chỉ giờ lấy bao ta, lâu khó giờ lấy bao ta.
And it seems like our elders are illiterate. We cannot read and write. And so therefore, the other agency has been utilized or taking advantage of us.
Bây giờเรา都自己要多了，都拿东西不哩呢，都自己要别多了。但是要了啥知道bây giờเรา也别太多是，哎，古路古海里那是。
And we feel like this is not the first time. We feel like we've been keep coming to you because of that. But I just want to say thank you. Okay. Zinaya was Siva. The next person is Siva.
Nó cũng do xì va, của thọ hở cho nó cho chứ.
Yes.
And my point of order is that, do we have a neutral translator? Right, because
we'll do our best. The Hmong language has been really difficult in many different ways in different settings. So we'll do the best if we can, in terms of really giving the context of the speakers.
So I just need an answer to my question.
I want to point out that these are all city-hired interpreters.
Yes.
And we believe that we're going to get a fair and just translation. We will be hearing other speakers with other positions. And I'd like to, we've got over, I think we still have 30 speakers to go. So
And the reason I asked is that I'm hearing on this side is that it needs to be clear interpretation. And if I'm hearing it from the people who are articulating it, that these interpretations are lacking, and this is not coming from me, I'm just hearing what I hear. And so if they are city interpreters, something is not connecting here.
I have no way of making a judgment. This has been the work product of our Department of Civil Rights. I have no reason to believe that they have done anything untoward in terms of who's doing the interpretation, the translation. Alderman Bedar-Sila, if you're in the queue.
So welcome to the world of interpreters, by the way. Never to be perfect, and always to be criticized by all sides. So that's what we live through every day. That's why maybe I'm an effective alder. So they are doing their best. They're hired through the agency that is used by our Office of Civil Rights. It is correct that Hmong is a very difficult language to interpret. There is a lot of emotion. So I ask all parties to just be patient, and they're trying their best. Again, they're not going to be perfect. This is not a perfect science. They're just trying to do their best. So let's not overreact, and let's just try to support them in doing their best. That's what they're trying to do. And again, these are our city-hired interpreters. They're not representing any particular party. They're just trying. So let's just be patient with them. And they've been doing this for now 3 meetings, too.
So that was my clarification. I just needed to hear that these were city interpreters, and I wanted to make the record clear. And so that's what I was, because I'm not taking any sides, and so I don't know what they're saying either. But we just need for the record that these are city approved interpreters.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elder.
I just want to say something. Can we, I know it's hard, but maybe slower and in writing it down and trying to interpret everything as much as you can.
Word for word. I've done court interpreting for
Your point of order, please.
Okay.
I would just like a clarification when we're getting testimony and they say we're not getting the money, they're getting the money. Who's we, who's they? I mean, that's how we're going to be trying to make our decision.
I was planning on addressing that when we got past all of the speakers, but to simply give you a frame of reference. Is there any objection to my framing the issue here? Seeing none, let me attempt to frame it. And I'll try to do this as best and as fair as I can. Last year, the county funding through Journey terminated in terms of the services that were being provided. The city council acted on a special appropriation with a extra majority vote to provide funding to assist where the county services through Journey had fallen through. While that was taking place, there was no issue or controversy as to where those dollars were expended. Then we included an additional funding for 2019 when we adopted the 2019 budget. At that point, there was no controversy that appeared to be critical in terms of who would get that funding. It was my intention when I included it in the budget, I don't know about the council's intention, that the money would follow whoever was continuing with Journey. But since that time, as we've come into this year, there has clearly become a very unfortunate divide over who should be providing the services. And so now the question is, in this resolution, the substitute that's before you, will we do an RFP, in effect go out to bid, that would then allow the competing organizations to apply for the funding? I've got a few more things to add as to that, but I think that's what I have in addition to add is more argumentative, and so I'll save that until later. There are registrations here representing the other organization who will be speaking. They're further down in the pile of registrants. So let us proceed, please.
Okay, happy.
nó cũng do xì va
My name is Si Vang.
của trâu rô cho nó cho chữ sở đời trâu tụi mẹ giờ
I want to say thank you to the county common council as well as mayor.
của thầu của pi một nhau xe của mình nhau lúc chạy cả xe của tứ bỏ nữa của tứ tôi cho nên lúc ở phía trả nó của xã thọ hay thì bé cho lầu nếu tứ thay luôn nó bé nó nè bao nhiêu xe bài đồ khá tư rồi em nếu bồi mua đồ bé cho lầu bé tua xe bé bộ tàu bao nhiêu là xứ.
I'm one of the first few Hmong elders who utilized the cashier house, the former cashier house, and I remember my photo taken with Mr. Mayor and.
Cú xã thì còn cho tu cho nó cho trừ ấy là dù mua bé bao nhiêu rồi bé cho lầu là lấy chỉ mua xã phố khẩn trăng.
And asking if the common council as well the mayor will give us the funding or not.
Ấy do linh đời bao nhiêu dù kế đồ họ tư rồi lo thọ rồi khi ấy lầu trăng rồi bé cho lầu bé cho nhẹ bé chỉ bao lù nhưng chỉ mua ít tu tư hay để dù cho bé đi năng.
And I just want to know where the funding is going right now, and we are struggling. We've been through a lot of things right now.
Cái qua lấy trâu rồi khó sẽ có xã điểm họ nói lấy chết gì do bao nhiêu là mua rồi bé là lấy chỉ mua lấy khi họ trăng chỉ bé cho lầu vô linh đẳng xứ.
And I want to say, want to be clear what the decision tonight will be made, so that we reassure our elders that whether or not we'll be receiving the funding for the services. Thank you.
And Jenny Sim, this is one of the Khmer interpreter. Please come here.
You got more?
That's my turn now?
Yes.
Oh. Hi, good evening. So happy to see you all again. I mean, I've been here so many times, and I'm here to support my Cambodian community. And also, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jenny Sam. I am here to support my community, which is it's sad that we have to go through this fight, and I don't like it, but I just want to come here to support that what is right for my people and for my community. I have two things. First, Cambodian people never work with Anisis or Hmong Institute before. I saw them once at my temple which is Bon Katen, that Cambodian have the event there. That is Anisis. And Monks Institute come to my temple, enjoy lunch. That is the first time that I saw them. Khmer people work very hard. Cambodian community work very hard. And we have all programs by Anne and Roger. And many years, not just 1 or 2 years, Anne and Roger involved with my father. My father passed away last year. I moved here 6 years ago because to take care of my father. I never once want to step in to Madison before. Because if I grow up in Chicago, what made me want to come here? I want to go to somewhere hot, nice weather. But because of my father, very old, I have to give up my life in California and move here to take care of my elderly father. And that's what made me here and then work and involved with Cambodian community. So all this year, my father been committed in Cambodian community and the temple. He helped build the temple. So I'm here. I just want to ask you that. I want you to please reconsider, give the money, if you can, give money to Cambodian program at temple with Anne and Roger that they've been doing this for so many years. If you can divide or you can give that part of money just to go to the temple, I would appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor. I meet you many times here, and thank you, City Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next registrations, Ann Garden, will be followed by Roger Garms.
Hi, my name is Ann Garden, and I've been working with the Cambodian refugees for many years. Ken, that's better. The Southeast Asian program was originally started by Dane County Mental Health in 1990 to serve the Cambodian refugees of the Khmer Rouge Holocaust, which took place between March of '75 and January of '79. In 2000, Kashia House was added to serve the Hmong refugees who helped the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War. Southeast Asian program consists of two groups of people, the Cambodians and the Hmong. Often grouped together, these are two different cultures from two different countries who speak two different languages and have two different kinds of war trauma. Thus, two separate and two different treatment programs. Dr. Garms and I will speak for the Cambodian project, which we have been working with for the past 28 years. This group of Cambodians includes elders, like the Hmong elders, who were adults when they were imprisoned by the Khmer Rouge, but it also includes those people who were children during those 4 years. Because the adults were forced to work from dawn till dusk every day, the very young children, the babies and the toddlers, were left back in the camps under the care of an elderly woman or an older sibling. Now, that older sibling may have only been 5 years old, but nevertheless. Most of the children not used to care for the younger sibs were separated from their parents and put in the children's camp for 4 years. These children were also expected to work every day. They were given, of course, thin rice soup twice a day to eat. So you can imagine the physical and psychological trauma and damage done over 4 years' time to these terrified children, taken from their families, starved, threatened, forced to watch beatings and murders. And you can understand why we see the results of the damage now. Meeting at the Cambodian temple, we have the trust and support of the Cambodian community, the monks, the board of directors at the temple. We have a support group twice a week, and on any given day, there are between 15 and 40 people in the group. Because most of our staff are volunteers, this is not an expensive program to operate. We calculate that we can continue to run this program through the calendar year of 2019 for about $30,000, which will cover, am I done?
Yeah.
Okay. Then let me just read my last paragraph. We have heard the mayor and his staff want to give the available city money to Anesis. Why? Why would the city fund another agency to develop a program to serve this population when this one is operating under a frugal budget successfully with the support of the Cambodian community, using the healing factors inherent in the culture and the religion, and serving in excess of 90 Madison families in a year? We ask for support from the city, or at least the chance to compete fairly for the funds. Thank you.
My name's Roger, partners with Ann. She talked a little bit about our program. I want to talk about PTSD, what it does to people and what it takes to heal it. And I'm going to talk about some real trauma here. I apologize for that, but I think it's necessary to understand what people have to recover from. I remember early in a group, one of the veterans who'd been a soldier for 3 years and a slave for 3 more said to me, he said, "Roger, you see me sitting here before you." He said, "But this isn't really me. I died in Cambodia." The hair on my neck went up. The American veterans I used to treat would say the very same thing. He said, "No," he said, "I'm a ghost." Everybody in the group is nodding their head, and they were all ghosts of their former selves. This was because their mentation was taken up with trauma. Their attention was all on trying to defend against memories, to try to deal with the anxiety that memories bring. And there was nothing left of their personality and their self. They were ghosts. Another guy said, now I want to talk a little bit about trauma. He talked about how the Khmer Rouge made him complicit in the death of his best friend. He was in the prison camp. The commander said, "Go get your friend." He went and got his friend. Here comes the bad stuff. And the commander picked the bayonet up off his desk and murdered his best friend in front of his very eyes. He said there has not been a day in the last 40-some years he hasn't thought about that. And some days he's thought about it 100 times. That's the difficulty of treating this. And as Ann said, we've kind of gone through the older generation, and now we're working with their children. And these kids were, well, here's an example. And I'm kind of mixing things together to protect people's privacy and that sort of thing, but all of this is true. This was a woman who said when she was 9, she was taken from her family and put into the child labor camp. And conditions were dire, but when she was 10, her cousin, also in the camp, had broken the rules. And she and the rest of the camp were forced to watch as they murdered her cousin. And she said, like this old soldier, there hasn't been a day since that she hasn't thought about that. So this is a difficult illness to treat. These people have a 40-year biochemical habit going of being constantly aroused. Their fight-flight system is turned on all the time. It gets sensitized and it gets overreactive. And their working memory and their ability to plan and think is disrupted by this bombardment of trauma, memory, and anxiety. What does it take to heal them? Well, the standard best practices, always now cognitive therapy and medicine. And they help.
Excuse me, I've been asked by the council, several people, that everybody stay within the 3 minutes.
Oh, I thought it was 5, so I prepared.
Sorry,
And
I'm sorry.
I'll rush through the end.
I'm-
Yeah. So what does it take to heal them? The normal healing factors, of course, and they help. But for these badly traumatized, habitually aroused Holocaust survivors, it takes more than that. It takes exposure to their old traditions, exposure to the monks, the chanting, sharing the meal with the monks and each other to pull them out of their shells. And it takes their own culture's healing factors to bring them back to life so they're not ghosts anymore. And we would ask you most respectfully to have a small slice of this pie so we can keep this thing going and we can help heal these people who were kids when they were traumatized. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers will not need an interpreter. Savang Koram from the Khmer. I'm sorry. And then Sean Vang and Dua Vang, you're up after that.
All right. I wanted to show all of you a vision. I want you to see. I want to ask my elders, if you are with Roger and Ann and with Dora, I want you, if you can stand up, please stand up. If you are with Ann and Roger, my people, stand up. As you can see, these are the elders that need those funding. Mayor, I respect you because I remember 5 months ago when I was here, you talked about the Vietnam War, and you were trying to make the right decision for our people. But 40 years ago, we were divided. And look at this. It's the same thing. I'm asking you as an authority, as a decision maker, make the right decision. At the last hearing, Barbara, you read a letter from Mai Zhongvu and Painter stating we threatened them by calling the police on them. Our community works things out with our families and communities. This is such a white supremacy tactic. As a Cambodian, that's the last thing we want to do is call the police. While there is no proof of their accusation, I want to read a letter from the president of the Khmer Buddhist Society on how Anesis and Hmong Institute deceive the Cambodian communities and the monk at the temple.
I'm sorry, excuse me. We will not continue as long as there's interruptions.
This letter was sent out, sorry. This letter was wrote.
No, excuse me. This is a very long hearing. We're not even halfway done. And I insist that there be a courtesy, not just to the speakers, but to everyone in the room, that the speaker be allowed to continue and that there not be any interruptions, whether it's in opposition or in support. That is the only way we're going to get through this evening. I'm sorry, but please go ahead now.
Can I have my 2 minutes back? This letter was wrote December 24, 2018. Dear Anesis, my name is Sun Bun Sun, and I am the board president of the Cambodian Buddhist Society of Wisconsin. We noticed that you wrote a check to the Buddhist temple for $150, and on the line item memos, it states that it was for rent at the temple from January to March. We are unaware of any contract or agreement to provide your agency space at the temple. We are confused by the rent payment. We do not know who you are or what your agency does. We do not have any working relationship with your agency. In the Cambodian Buddhist Society of Wisconsin is unaware of any contract or agreement to work with your agency, and therefore, we are returning this check to your agency. Any former collaboration with the temple must go through the board of director and the monks. A niece and monks institute is not allowed at the temple without permission. Sincerely, Soon Boon Soon. And I'm sorry that a niece that has to be put in the middle. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you know what? Until I am not free, until all is free.
There's another person, her name is Anna. You might miss her, Anna. Anna Van.
See in the previous petition, she said she looks like they call her name, but she never got to be
I'd like to pass this picture around.
Can we get to the next speaker, and we'll continue looking
Yeah.
for the other registrations?
I'm the next speaker. Hello, my name is Shuo Wang. Council members and Mayor Soglin, I want to say thank you for your services to the City of Madison. I know how hard it is. I was fortunate to have served on the Madison School Board for 2 terms, 3-year terms, from 2000 to 2006. So believe me when I say I've served on many committees, city committees and county committees, and the school board in my capacity. So I understand how hard it is. For the past 17 years, I worked for Cashier House, which is now the Southeast Asian Healing Center. And I have a speech written out, but I think what I will do is ask the people who have took this picture with the mayor to please stand up. Yeah. So, Mayor, I'd like for you to please take a look at these people. These are the ones that took the pictures here with you. And I'd like to ask the people who are with the Southeast Asian Healing Center to please stand up also. The people who are with the Southeast Asian Healing Center, please stand up. I know I have a long speech, but as you can see, these are the people that are here tonight. They may not know how to write letters to you. They may not know how to come here and speak before you. But the weather is very cold outside, and they take the time to come here to ask the City Council to please put this proposal for an RFP. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
We missed a petition, so we want to give her a chance to speak.
Anna Van.
Okay, do that now then, please.
แอนเวนก็ปตาเป็นมอก็ได้ได้เจียได้ชิมันจักที่ก็ละถากถากจะกูได้ไปแล้ว
nhớ xong cho từ mấy giờ thế xong xe tất cả tuần chi này cho nhớ cho hồ lúc tổ chức rồi nó.
Good evening to my mayor, and I'm grateful to come back and meet all of you, all the council member.
Nên nhưng cho tôi thì cũng có từ lúa cha tan cho nhớ cho hồ bán rồi nó.
All of you may have remembered that I'm one of the youngest in this group here.
Nếu lúc cậu liên tuổi của tôi rồi nó của tôi đó nên sẽ đợi thả của nó nè.
you may remember in October, I also came and speak with all of you.
Lúc cầu lên đâu nó bé tàu ít họ kể trong xe, ta chỉ bé cô tàu ít họ kể tu xe tàu cá và lúc cầu lên đâu là.
In October, we're very happy. We received good news. But after that, we also received bad news, and now we're sad.
Bé chỉ bảo cho lũ là hai tiền đến đây là do lũ mong S22 nà.
We don't know of any Anesis or Hmong Institute.
Bé tôi thọ bao nhiêu nó do trâu bé, ta chỉ qua chả đi không có bao nhiêu nó trong một trâu đến đây theo trâu S22 nữa nè.
Originally, this fund was supposed to go to us, but I don't know why now the fund is going to Anesis and Hmong Institute.
Cũng cho tao hay tiền bút thầu của trường mình ở giàu có những ít tôi mấy giờ đô la rồi. Sau nó giàu thì ó có lợi tôi mấy giờ nhớ đâu bé lúc sau.
I remember when I was a child, you became a mayor, and now you have served the second term as a mayor.
Thế cụ bảo hay tiền lúc lão liền đâu nó có giờ trả lọ quay tôi mấy giờ đô thế.
And I also know that this coming April, you will become mayor again.
Do lần đó bé cho cái ba thế bé cho cái bom bá đâu có.
Because with our community support and because we vote for you.
Tan thọ này cho và nhớ cho họ lúc tuổi trẻ nó chỉ mua bé này giờ chỉ tao rồi để cho trong nhà.
Everyone who is elected in this room, if hadn't for the community who selected you, you will not sit in your seat.
Cũng tranh hay tiền này cho cái chân chế này giờ chỉ mua bao nhiêu nó trâu tụi này giờ kế nữa.
I believe that with your education, you will not allocate this fund to the wrong person.
Vì bé chỉ do lỡ chỉ do bé chỉ bảo lỡ chỉ bảo bé cho bảo tiền mà dùng hết sức phanh cái tụi tôi thay lù sư.
Because we are a different entity. We don't know them, they don't know us. We only know Mahjong and Tepeng was here to interpret for us.
Cú chẳng do tao này bao lên và giờ giàu bé hòn tay này bố gì cũng được nó nè. Này giờ cho hai tiền bé và xin thôi này ta chỉ bé xả hai tiền này và xin cho bé nè.
I still remember the four elderly who sit in front of us here. At first, you said that we are playing game with you, but now I think it's the other way around.
Cú xả còn này ở trong sai. Hai tiền này mua bao nhiêu nó, do này mua trâu bé nó, cho nên họ chỉ mua, này họ mua trâu đến này theo nó S22
I want you to think carefully, because you say you're gonna give the fund for us, and now that we heard that the fund is going to Anesis and Hmong Institute. Please think this over very carefully.
Để bỏ lại mỗi ít tu nên nhớ rồi ba lúc chừng tới tua một hai nên tôi một thọ nên bỏ khỏi nhiên nào nè chúng một bé xí nè.
Have you seen those other group have their clients to come and ask for the fund to go to them? You only see us.
Bé chỉ bé luôn chơi mua tôi một thọ nên cho cái chân chơi có nhiên là nó do bé li ta chỉ ở nhà nên chỉ mua đâu là tu nè.
We use our face to come here to ask for this fund to help us. But can you tell me why you use your knowledge and your education to give this money to the wrong group?
Có bỏ sinh như tôi mấy giờ nhớ cho bé lúc giờ. Nên sợ đời do ít cho nó chịu nhớ cho lúc giờ này nó. Nên cho nên chân là chân chơi.แต่是nên sai bé trong này mình giàu nè.
You are our mayor and you are our leaders. And everyone who are in here are educated. And I feel like you treat us and you look at us like a bunch of kids.
Bé giờ mình nhỏ, ta chỉ bé bồi giờ này cho mình nhỏ, bé bồi giờ này mình cái gì này thế nè.
we are children, of course, but do you know that we are your children? We are citizens.
问题呢有这些些，你从政了度的能，你上战斗多，还到你做陪做了度呢？你有主政咗啲你，我你bỏ喺你接，你摸可摸你等接俾你。
Before you decide, you must think carefully, not to believe the person who write you a letter. You have to look to see the people who's here.
你係點呢？有冇幫人攞咗門做到一個抽個俾手到你摸嘢攞本事收一打 proposal 都唔妥可嘢啦啦，故啥啲你我領導你我錢呀呐。
I feel that the decision for our FP to put this money out there for people who to fight for it, I don't believe this is the right choice. This is wrong.
กู全咗นู้我ก็係到กู啲ก็摸幫人攞做俾啦นะ，ก็要俾到未有。
I still remember the day you said that you're going to allocate this fund to us because you're our mayor.
กู攞聽กู種寫hìnhกู冇真多謝กู係到กู咗นั่ง係啲กู到一個幾種寫啦。
When I heard of this, I was so happy. And I go home, I tell all my people, and I'm very grateful because you told me that.
ทองเด้อกูเขา到一個摸頭，如果你นู่น單錯事กู攞嘅คนนู่น賠นะกู摸嘅。
After that, I heard the bad news, and that made me ill.
กู落去用嘅頭路領導嗰時，
I just got better as of February.
กูว่า做到呢時候我呢都唔弄กู就路。
I just want to thank everyone who sits patiently and listen to my words. Thank you.
Thank you. The next registration is from Jessica Williams. We got one more there. I'm sorry, Jessica Williams, you'll be the next speaker after this one.
Hello, member of the Common Council, and hello, Mr. Mayor. My name is Dua Vang, and I'm here today in oppose of the non-competitive authorization of funding to ANISIS, and I'd like to support the second resolution for RRP adopted by Elder Shiva. I'd like you to look at me and then maybe remember who I am. There were lots of bad things, untrue accusation in this document. As you read it, my name probably come across a lot. So my name is Ndua Vang, and I've been working for Journey Mental Health Center for 25 years, and of that, 18 years as a manager of Cashier House. Throughout my year as a manager, I have not fired anyone. I have not laid off anyone. For the 18 year, we started Cashier House with only $145,000, and the program grew into $1.1 million in budget. And the staff increased from 2 staff to 19. Of those 19, with the 18 year that Cashier House exists, I myself have not fired anyone. There were times that we, run short of funding. Instead of fire or lay off, I choose to cut, most of all the staff time from 100% to 80%, so we do not lay off anyone. So I want you to know that I do care about all the staff and also the member of our community. I know that they do have, bill to pay, mortgage to pay, living costs to, live by. So, I would say that if I had more time, that I'd probably, take hour or more to tell you what my, experience is. But it is unfortunate that we don't have that time, and then my, minutes here is only 3 minutes, so I would need to speak on to something else. throughout that year, we were awarded city grants, state grants, federal grants, and I was not cited for any misconduct or no grievance or no complaint against my management. And we did not get any citation from the funder that we received. The program has become one of the best practice model in the nation. There's only one cashier house like that, like cashier house used to be in the U.S. Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, we met on October 24th, and you said that you asked us to go back to work with Major and Payne. We tried, but eventually Major and Payne refused to meet and refused to work with us. So you said that if we cannot work together, the money will go for RFP. So I would like to have you keep your words and then stay with your words. So please, keep your word and remember what we have said. I would like also ask the Common Council to have a fair process. So the money should follow the elders. I'm not speaking for the money to myself, but the services should follow the elders. And the elders are also members of the community. They should be treated equally. They should be treated fairly and just. As you listen tonight, you probably know exactly what they want and what's best for them. So I ask that you, come up with a fair process and then make it fair process and then fair to everyone. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Jessica Williams is next.
So I just want to come out and talk about, okay, so I just wanted to come out and talk about why I support this grant going to RFP. And I'm hoping that folks from Anesis will also agree that that's going to be a fair process once they hear me out. So it's been made pretty clear to me. It's been made pretty clear to me that these two communities both have for years developed their own ecosystem, and they've found services that work for them, and they've built their community. I think that this has all been really divided. I'm not within this community, so I'm just trying to do what is best for them. The only thing that I have to go off of is my own integrity and what my politics are. I know that anytime there are services that come out for my people in my community, for Black people, I always believe that we should be the first ones to lead our programs and run our programs. I don't just believe that for my people, I believe that for every other community as well. But these Southeast Asian communities, they already have their systems in place, and they have people that they trust there. I think that what would be best is to let this go to RFP and let the community speak, and you hear from them and decide how this money is going to be best used. And I know, people in Anesis, we see this happen to our communities all of the time. We see these mainstream white organizations come in and want to do Black programming, and they don't do it well. If you don't have the background, you don't have the experience, they're not able to serve us. And I don't want to see us replicate the same cycles of harm that we see come from white institutions into Black communities. And I also see a lot of people laughing as people are testifying and smiling and smirking. I don't know how you think that you're going to represent a community and serve a community well if you think that it's a joke when they talk and if you're laughing at them. I really hope that you we all understand, I think that Anesis was meant to come in temporarily and now has been pulled into the middle of this. I think what's going to be most fair is to let this community talk and let them say what they want to happen. And I hope that Anesis will agree to that, because we will want the same thing for our people.
Okay, let me read a couple of speakers here. The next one here is Casual Vang, followed by Galeher, and Van Mong Ya. So the Zimana wa Casual Va Tia, Galeher Tia, and Van Mong, ne pay to your mind. Okay. No. So they would like Van Mong to go first before Casual. Let's have another Van Mong one day now.
Đó là cú giờ Van Mong ya, thọ xin tao và cú ấy tôi nghe thằng non đó nên cho nó cho tứ làm cho cái đáp bốc đó.
My name is Van Mong Wang. I have a very loud voice, so bear with me.
Cô xia và này cho nó cho chữ sẽ đầu nhau nó giờ ít cho nâng chân nâng chế bé vô này thì lại tàu lọ nó chữ nhau bé luôn trong nó.
I'm very delighted to have all you elected officials tonight to represent us in the city.
Đợt cái thứ nó này cho nó cho chữ này cũng mất tàu ít khó nhia tua ba đầu bé ta chỉ mà bé cho lầu chỉ bỏ cho nhiên đó sao còn này tàu cá cho nhiên là sẽ học một khó tư là.
The first thing here is that you all have decided to allocate funding to us, but so far we haven't received the funding yet, and would like to know where that's funding going through.
Sao còn này cho nó cho chữ nó nè tiêu mà lú là lý chú ý rằng nè tiêu máu lúc không mua bỏ tiền cho lâu nó do cho bí thầu họ bỏ một đòn gì sao có hai tiền cho lâu nó nhá khó từ cả thâu nhia và nè ba nợ một đôi khả năng.
And the second for all you to consider is that many people see this elder, they have started the program and they're ended the program, and we want you to consider where these elders, where the funding should be go towards this elderly.
Bé nó nè chùa nó anh ấy cho nâng thia đỡ và mong ý thì tụi cho nâng thia sau ý sẽ cho theo center cho lên tiêu cho tôi trồng cho nhiên là tôi thọ nè mua nó thọ còn nè cho nó cho chữ nè bỏ của nó.
And we would like you all to consider all the clients from the Hmong Institute, as well as the Southeast Health Center, those who are actually represented here tonight.
Đâu có nó mùเขานักเชื่อกูยัวว่าเห็นเน่cho nó cho chữ na, ok, thì sĩ cú hay để khó kiến dần dần.
And the next thing here I want to say, I would like to have a truthful statement to tell you.
Nếu yo nó chữ nếu cho nên chân chế nếu cho nên xé rong, bây giờ bây giờ thì để bỏ mà bắt đầu nên thì tao nó chữ, giờ nên là từ trường sau nó,我chữ gì một giá toàn thế, thọ còn nên cho lúc không mua, lúc cho nên cho nhẹ.
And we know that you all elected officials are kind and have wonderful heart and given to the community, and so we want you to consider this.
Khó cái nó, nên cho nó cho chữ, giờ mà thông nhiên là cho một anh ấy là giờ một cho mong thì thuộc khả năng chính danh chẳng là qua nên cho nó cho chữ linh đạo.
And I believe that giving this funding to Anissus and as well as Hmong Institute is not fair.
Vì là tôi chỉ mấy tụi tin này tôi hành này chỉ muốn tôi thọ này là chẳng này họ dùng mà đó là sao nào?
There are no one to represent them and coming to talk to you or asking for the funding.
Ai cú này cho nó cho chữ sẽ là cho nó cú sợ họ hai tuần đó là nó chỉ do hai cái cú bảo tại đó này ta chỉ cú ít chữ hai tuần đó này cho cái đáp bụng đó.
I want to say thank you to you all. I may think that I have a very loud voice, but I do apologize for that. Okay. Caleb. Okay.
Please keep those in order.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So those are done.
No.
Yes. Oh, casual. Yeah, casual. Okay. Okay. Okay, so you go after.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a young person here coming to support the elders at Southeast Asian Healing Center. I wanted to say that elders contribute a lot to the Hmong community. They are caretakers. I am a product of a Hmong grandmother. My mother went to college and my dad worked, so my grandma watched me and I grew up with her. And unfortunately, she passed 6 years ago, but she taught me a lot. And she taught me all that I know about being Hmong, from walking to the Hmong store together, to watching Hmong movies, to listening to Kutia. She made me the Hmong person that I am today. And I would have done anything and everything for her. I would never deny her of anything. When she was still here with us, she would go to the cashier house, the one ran by Dor, the real cashier house, because that's where she found community. I say all this because just like the love I have for my grandmother, I have love for all the Hmong elders that I work with. There's 50 plus of them. I make sure they get to the Southeast Asian Healing Center programming and that they have breakfast and food, and I never deny them of anything. And I volunteer for Southeast Asian Healing Center on top of my 8-hour job. And I do this because I care about the well-being of the Hmong elders. They contribute so much culture and so much language. I only wish that I could spend the whole day with them so I can learn more about what it means to be Hmong. And I'm up here and I'm upset at Peng and my Zhong because shame on you for not listening to the elders. Shame on you for putting Anisas in this mess. If you really cared about the well-being of Hmong elders, you would agree to put money and invest in what the elders are asking for. And these elders are here not because they were forced to be here, but because they want to be here. It's cold and coming here is hard for them, but they are here. They are survivors of war and genocide. They have lived for a long time. They are survivors. They know what injustice feels like. They've been attacked. They've been in war. They know what is happening to them is unjust. And we're talking here, Mahjong, about funding that will provide direct services. And part of providing great quality services is listening to what the people need. And they are here telling you what they need. And if you had love and empathy for Hmong and Khmer elders, you would listen to them. And I'm here as a young person because I care about being Hmong and I love being Hmong. And the elders are the gatekeepers of all that I can learn about being Hmong. And I'm here to demand an RFP, a transparent RFP process that is fair. And thank you for your time and for listening.
Okay, goodbye. All right. So first I want to say that it's unbelievable that the few people who are in favor of you giving them the grant is going after all these people. And I think that is unfair, Mr. Mayor, and strategic on your part. The other piece that I want to say.
Excuse me. This is a matter of privilege on my part.
Go for it.
Speaker forms were submitted to me in which the order in which they were received. The significant first group of people, perhaps 20, all asked to go first. And somebody in the clerk's office arranged them in that manner. That is how they were submitted. That's how they've been received. And I have not changed the order. No one has changed the order other than recognizing those who asked to go first. And otherwise, they came in the order in which they were received. Please continue.
I don't believe it, but if you say so. Because it says right here, requested to speak last. And on top of that, I find it really interesting that this is the first time we've seen Anisas out. And I saw you laughing when the elders were speaking. Myra, I don't know who you are. I think I've met you a few times.
Your point of order.
If they're going to give testimony, they should be giving testimony to us and not speaking to the people that are in the audience.
Thank you. I will not have to repeat what you said. Please continue.
I'm only speaking to them because this is the first time they've come to the table in public to have a conversation with any of us. And if you need to know something, it's been 6 months since this mess has happened.
and I've been carrying this for 6 months. The other piece is, Anesis, I know that you are caught in this mess in the middle, and it's not your fault. I don't blame Anesis for this. And I'm not talking about Anesis' inability to provide services for Southeast Asians only. I'm talking about a Black organization that has only recently hired Southeast Asian people, not due to the fact that this is their mission and vision, but this happened because 2 people said that this was a temporary fix. And so now they're serving Southeast Asian people. They've just hired people in the last 7 months, or last 4 months, does not make them expert to serve my people. So if you find that offensive that I'm talking to them because it's the first time they're coming to the table, so be it. The other piece that I want to talk about is nobody here has more trauma than the people who are supposed to be served. Nobody. And as somebody who has been carrying it, as somebody who has been looking for resources to provide for my people, yes, my people, you listen to what I have to say. And what I have to say tonight goes to the mayor. This should not have been this hard. Not at all. What is an RFP? Transparent? Fair? Let those who have served this community give you a plan. Why give it to Anesis? Anesis does not have the experience to provide services to Southeast Asian. I don't care that you hired 7 people off of the money that was supposed to go to these elders. I don't. So what I'm saying here tonight is let it be a fair process. As somebody who served my community for the last 20 years, I can tell you that serving this community is not about just having funding. It is about the trust of the people. These people don't know Anesis. No offense to you, Myra. I'm sure you're a great leader. I'm sure you have a great organization. They don't know Hmong Institute, and actually, they feel betrayed by Hmong Institute. And my Zhong, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Are there any registrants left in that?
Hi, my name is Hua. I'm a granddaughter of a longtime participant of the Gashia House of Gashia, who now goes to Southeast Asian Healing Center. I'm here to address a letter Mahjong sent to you. Mahjong is an intercultural program director who works for the Department of Health Services. She used her political resources and knowledge as a disguise to help the elders, but all she has done was use her connections to move funding to her husband's organization, paying her, who is CEO of the Hmong Institute. Then she helped her friends at Anesis obtain the contract. Although it's true that they've been helping our people for the last 4 months, we've been helping them for the last 18 months, and we know what they need. Also in Mahjong's letter, she states that she is not about tearing apart communities, but there are many in the community who will testify otherwise. She states that she's not about tearing apart communities, but it is a known fact that they are not to be trusted, and you outside of the community wouldn't know that. Mahjong also states she doesn't attack agencies, but stealing from your own people is worse than attacking agencies. Betraying your elders to shift funds to your husband's organization is worse than attacking organizations. Betraying your community to shift funds into an organization that you are a board president of is attacking community. Unwilling to come to the table and to talk to your community to avoid all of this is attacking community. She also states that she lets her work speak for itself and that she lets others praise her. I will let you know that the community does not praise her right now. And her work, they see as tearing apart the community and worsening the mental health of our elders. So today I'm here to ask that you please move this to an RFP process, which is fair and transparent, where someone can't use their resources to help them.
The next one is pattern. True. Mai Tao Yang, and lastly Mai Nye Mo. Proton Zimuna ya pattern ya true. Mai Tao ya Tia or Mai Nye Mo.
I am here to support Southeast Asian Healing Center, which has experienced trauma and relived that trauma when the money was taken from them. First of all, Mount Gashia is not Gashia House. Anisis is not Gashia House. Mahjong and Peng are not Gashia House. But Southeast Asian Healing Center is Gashia House. The elders who are part of Southeast Asian Healing Center, who are survivors of war and violence, is Gashia House. They are all here tonight to fight for their well-being and joy of escaping trauma and violence. But we know damn well that our elders are here tonight because the money isn't in their hands and because Mahjong and Peng don't actually care for the elders. How can Mahjong and Peng betray their own people and still look at them in the eye and claim to be helping the elders? As a young person, I have been volunteering for the Southeast Asian Healing Center. If all the elders are at Southeast Asian Healing Center, who are the other elders they are talking about? I see these elders 40 to 60 times, and 40, 60 of each of them Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, whenever I deliver food. It's the same elders I see 3 times a week. That doesn't make any sense. The Southeast Asian Healing Centers at Freedom Inc. 3 times a week, and they feel unsafe. And they feel safe there. They eat delicious cultured food cooked by my aunt alone, and it's me who helped bring food for the elders. I don't know anyone who will have the audacity to manipulate the community, system, money, and especially the elders like this ever. I don't even know Mahjong and Peng like that. But from what I heard, it's super disrespectful to the community. These elders has the right to choose who is their provider. So let them choose. These elders have the right to enjoy themselves. And these elders has the right to have a space. There's nowhere else for them to go. That is why Freedom Inc. has opened a space for Southeast Asian Healing Center. If these elders were taken care of and being cared about, they wouldn't be at Freedom Inc. in the first place. Southeast Asian Healing Center at Freedom Inc. is Gashia House.
Okay, the next person here is True. I think it's True Tao. Okay.
Y'all can hear me, right? Good. My name is True Tao. I've been volunteering for Southeast Asian Healing Center for quite some time, ever since Freedom Inc. has opened its door to Gashia House. What does building community looks like? Not Mahjong Peng. It's sad that Anisis is put in the middle of all this. It is very emotional to see my grandparents, my aunties, who I grew up with here, that have been living here since, like, raised and born here in Madison. It's sad that all they've been saying that if Mahjong and Peng was just honest. I transferred them like every morning, every afternoon to go back home. I helped them take them to their appointments, help get medication when it's needed. And every time, if only Mahjong and Peng was honest to this community, to us seniors or elders. But like it was said before, maybe not here, but like, they sure weren't welcoming at when Gashia thought that they had the funds, when everybody was invited to have lunch at Journey, right? But the way I saw all the elders was just sad because all in the traditional Hmong clothes, they couldn't even like enjoy themselves. But instead, Mahjong invited all these white folks or executive directors from different communities to show up. For what? Was it really for the like good enjoyment of like, yeah, we got money for that was to provide them services? No. it was sad that you guys can't be there to experience it too. That it is so cold tonight and it's late, it's almost 9, and yet I know most of them usually will have to take the medication by now or are ready to get in bed. But they're here fighting to voice their opinion, their feelings, their views. I'm here to support them because my aunties, my grandmothers and grandfathers here, and yeah, I have some that goes to my zone, their programs too. But it's sad that one of my auntie had to tell my mom that, hey, let me recruit you to my zone's program. It doesn't have to be like that. And why does my auntie has to feel like, why does my zone has to make me feel like I have to attend it? Because like this is not where I want to be. It is sad because now it felt like, because I also work at Freedom Inc. and I volunteer, my mom supports me, but then my auntie and my mom has to feel like the sisterhood of family was divided a little bit because what they say is maybe correct and what they say is maybe correct. But it broke up my mom's and auntie's relationship a little bit when they barely don't call each other over the phone. And that's my mom's only, like, cousin or sister say, my mom has left here. It should not look like this, and it should not be like this, and I should not feel like this, and my elders should not feel like this. And you guys have to really listen carefully. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person here is Mai Tao Yang. Mai Tao Ya.
Can you call the next speaker also?
And after that is Mai Nye Mo. Takana je Mai Nye Mo.
My name is Maito. Just because these elders are asking for services, you all think that it's funny? No, it's not. Monkashia is not Kashia House. Onisis is not Kashia House. Southeast Asian Healing Center is Kashia House. My mother is a part of Southeast Asian Healing Center. She goes there every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays to connect with her peers, get mental health, counseling, and other services. My mom only knows Doa, not Mahjong and Ping. My mom is hurt and feels betrayed by these two people that all of a sudden took the money and left to start a whole different organization. As growing up, I remember going to Cashier House, and and the people I saw when going there was not Mahjong and Ping. I myself don't even know Mahjong and Ping. As a young person, I'm disappointed to see how hurt these elders are from all the things that have happened. What gives you the right to take this opportunity from your own people? My mom needs someone who will actually take care of her, heal her, not someone who will backstab her. Let these elders have the right to choose who their providers are.
All right. I think the last person to speak here is Mai Nye Mo. Mai Nye Mo.
Hi, my name is Mai Nye Mo. My family and I have always looked up to and respected Mahjong since I was a little young girl. I looked up to her as a strong Hmong woman in the community. Due to my long time and respect for her, I am hurt by the way that she has tore our communities apart because of her self-interest. After learning that Mahjong just wanted funding to benefit her husband's organization, which is Hmong Institute, which she is the board president, and her husband is a CEO. And it will benefit both of them. And also, after reading her letter today, I don't think I can look at her the same way I used to. And she has lost my respect and trust. Mahjong claims to have staffs that has master's and doctor's degree and are culturally competent. I know that Hmong Institute has the most incompetent staffs, not even understanding the Hmong elders' way of expression. That is why an argument with clients led to Dua barred from Catholic Multicultural Center. College degrees does not equal trust and does not prove effectiveness. Trust, love, and compassion that Southeast Asian Healing Center has as a core to the organization culture has proven to work for the last 20 years. I work with the same elders through one of the case management and weekly groups. I now volunteer some of my time to support these same elders every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. My client numbers has increased due to the closing of Kashia House, and I have to spend more time out of my work in my weekly support groups, and I have to spend time cleaning up the harm that Mahjong and Peng has caused the elders. I have been working in the communities, and I have never known Hmong Institute, nor have I known Anesis. These elders have been cared for without funding because of in-kind support from the community and groups and individuals. In Mahjong, in your letter, you mentioned that you build communities and you build bridges, but today, you have burned down the strongest bridge that had held you up. You have burned down your community. Do you understand that? I shouldn't be telling you that because I'm like your younger sister. And I'm really upset. And I always thought that I look up to great role models. And Anesis, you have clients. But I'm sure, and I want you to know that you are out of luck because those clients that Mahjong gave to you, you have not earned their trust. And with this being said, I'm sure I might have heard it many times that Dua or Kashia House here was not doing their job. They have bad management. They're patriarchal. They're misogynist. And I'm sure that you two are the same. It doesn't mean that you're a woman and you cannot be patriarchal. I see that you are the most patriarchal person right now in this room to your own Hmong community.
Time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more person here to speak. Cha.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cha Chen, and I have lived here in Madison for the last 20 plus years. My mom has been going to this program for the last 20 years, and the program has helped her in a lot of ways that I myself, as her daughter, cannot help her. As you can see tonight, we have a lot of elders on this side, and I know that's been a long night. It's probably hard for you to decide what to do, but I want to give you advice on what to vote for. I can tell that in our culture, we are tough love. So everything you see tonight, every testimony you hear tonight. Earlier we were talking about translation issue. Please do not judge the word, but judge their body language. Look in their eyes, know who they are, feel their feelings. Imagine yourself in this room, not speaking English, and you're speaking another language. In this whole room, we all speak in Hmong. Can you imagine how hard it is to express your thoughts and your feelings? I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight to ask you, as the Common Council and Mayor Paul, to put this process in the I'm new to this, to the RFP process. Why? The other Mahjong, they're great people, okay? I'm not saying they're bad people or anything like that. But to be fair for the whole community, you guys need to put this into the process. Because this has broken our community. I look at this wrong. I know those people over there. I know Mahjong. I know most of my uncle over there. I know them. Now we're suffering to this, we're segregated right now. We have to choose. And what you can do tonight is to put it through a process that will be fair for everyone. And I just wanted to let you know that as you make your decision tonight, think about these elders, that one of them is your parent. Think of that they can't speak for themselves because of language barrier. And all they can say is their word. But English and Hmong, it's so hard to translate. But look how many times they'll come here, multiple times, in this winter weather. So I want you to think of that. And I hope that you all will make the right choice, the right decision tonight as you make your decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, the next speaker is Myra McNair. Oh, no. You want them to call him?
Tunzim Hailuna ya Maya Menier.
Good evening. First of all, my name is Myra McNair. I'm founder and owner of Anissa's Therapy Center. I first of all just want to say thank you to the mayor and then to also the council here for your support in 2018. So there were no gaps in services. This seems really weird that people are back here when it was just probably about 4.5 months, 5 months ago, when everyone was on the same page to have the funding go to Anissa's. I did not ask for that. I did not ask to be in this position, but I'm very honored to serve any communities of color. As you can see, this is my staff behind me. And we represent a lot of different cultures, not just Southeast Asian cultures. DUA worked for Anissa's, and once the money was then given out to Anissa's and to the Hmong Institute, that is when the division happened. DUA had an issue with Mahjong and Pang, and I think that's public news by now. Instead of him using conflict resolution and problem-solving skills, he chose to quit. He resigned. I only have 3 minutes, and I would love, if you have any more questions, I would be willing to answer them about that situation. But it got to the point where he was still going around the center, and staff did not feel safe, and that he tried to fire one of the staff that we hired, actually, after he resigned. When he left, he stole records. He stole client records. There's a thing called ethics in mental health. There's a thing called licensure in mental health. I'm concerned about my field right now. There's nobody on the other side, and I hate to go there, but they don't have licensure. Okay, so there are some real facts, and if you want to look at the letter from Jamie Kahn from the county, there's a reason why they did not get the funding from the county. There were some really serious ethical things that happened when they were at Journey, and those things spread on even afterwards. And they have to have safe programming. There are things that clients have reported to me and to my staff about abuse. We had several clients that were called and told that today was the day that Mahjong was going to get kicked out and that they need to come here. So there's a lot of intimidation and things like that that are going on. We did not bring our clients here because we believe in trauma-informed care. And this is not trauma-informed care to bring your clients. There's HIPAA laws and different things. And so I'm sorry if I am running staff in an agency, I'm not going to break HIPAA. It's different because they're not licensed. They don't have a licensing board.
All right, next is Colin McNair.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Collier McNair. And to the council, the mayor, and all of you, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm standing and speaking in support of my wife, founder and owner of Anesis. You know, when Journey Mental Health decided to discontinue mental health services to the various people, the elders in the Hmong community, Anesis Therapy Center was referred as an agency that could possibly step up to meet the mental health needs of those in need of these crucial services and prevent the loss of this important program. And so they did. Now, while the city has been hampered in the quagmire of politics and controversy, Anesis has stepped up by investing its own resources and profits, none received from the city, over $60,000 to date and counting, into this business to hire and pay the salaries of qualified Hmong and Cambodian clinicians already serving the people in the community. Obviously, a lot of noise has been made and falsities have been spoken out of ignorance and or deliberation. And interest and efforts to collaborate with the opposing group have been utterly rejected and appears to be strained beyond repair based on pride and lies. Meanwhile, Anesis has continued to stay the course and provide much needed services to this precious community. Those who have not received services have done so by choice or other strange reasons. And these testimonies concerning apparent lack of services fails to take into account the other half of the community who is receiving services. And regardless of which side you are on, you should know that all my wife and her culturally diverse and dynamic agency wants to do is their job. And please, let's not make this a competition in who's been traumatized the most. And as a Black-owned women business who has already invested in good faith, time and money and sweat into this community, I'd like to think that matters to the city of Madison. And I think Black people have a little something to say about trauma. Okay, now. And that said, Anesis never presumed to be experts in Hmong culture. That's why clinicians from the community were hired way before this thing went south. And still, you should have seen Myra when she came home, excited to learn and absorb so that she can serve this community honorably. And it's funny that it appears that we didn't have a problem with Journey, a white organization running this program, but as soon as a business of color, we can't have that. So I urge the city to please help Anesis continue to help this community do what you intended to do. Do not allow politics, prohibitive rules, and pending legislation to interfere with and upset the revival of this services. I'm wrapping up here. Otherwise, the alleged lack of services being received by our counterparts may indeed lead to a lack of services or no services for the other part. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
The next speaker is Yeleng Han. Yeleng. And then he'll be followed by Shawan Wang.
Mr. Chair, Councilwoman and Councilman, thank you for this opportunity. I'm torn to be here. I'm really torn to be here. I'm here because my wife works for Hmong Institute, or my better half works for Hmong Institute. As a former leader in student affairs and higher education, I taught my students to be an ethical leader. And I'm torn being silent or speaking out. As they say, silence is consent. I have witnessed, I have been patient and have trained myself not to speak out against the false allegation against my wife and others who have tried their best to provide service to my elders, whether they go to the Southeast Asian Health Center or they are at Hmong Institute. I don't care. The point is that they get the service they need. I also can't stand by and allow the bullying and the intimidation and the untrue allegation that has been perpetuated in social media as well as in hearings. As a leader, we have an ethical responsibility to say what is right and also do the right thing. So therefore, I'm here to speak out and to say my piece. If my father hear me, I hope that he will be proud that he has raised a man who will speak the truth. If I were to say my father's name to my elders, they would know who he is. But I won't say that. There are many concerns, but I will only highlight a few. And the one I want to highlight is unethical practices. Being that my wife worked at Hmong Institute, I heard that clients are being forbidden to attend or to come to the Hmong Institute. They are forbidden. They said, don't go there. You're not welcome there. A client went to a Southeast Asian Health Center and was told, what are you doing here? You go there, we don't want you. Clients should get to go where they want to go, as long as they receive the services. As long as they receive the competent multicultural services, they should have the right to go. And I think that's an ethical issue. And I think that's an ethical standard. There are also been, my elders are being misled that Dua was fired. Dua was let go, or fired. As was mentioned earlier, he resigned. For the record, you have that in your packet. Mr. Vang resigned. So I wanted to be also record that Mr. Vang resigned. He was not fired. There's also an issue of competency, that the staff at that works for Nices and Hmong Institute are not multicultural. Clearly, as you've seen earlier, they are truly multicultural. This is America here, folks. This is America. What about the staff at the Southeast Health Center? Have they disclosed that there are family members that are staff? Isn't that called nepotism in America?
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. One more say one thing to my elders, if I may. Y'all not just see na, gu sang ka tan, gu to no na, gu shi to chua me, gu shi to zi me, gu sang ta me no ha pa hong ji, e pe ha le pa o to na, me ya gu na gu zi, me ya gu bu nyang zi gu, gu to ha me mo ha to ta ma, ha to ya me ha to yang na, o chao. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so the next speaker is Swang Wang. Swang? Swang. S-H-W-A-W. Not there? All right, the next person is Peng Ha.
So good evening. My name is Peng He. I'm the CEO of the Hmong Institute. As the CEO, I just let you know that it's a volunteer gig. I don't get paid as a CEO, so I do this out of my love for my community. As you recall, when Journey made the decision to close Cachet House down, we, the Hmong Institute, as well as Dua, Gajwa, and these same elders came before the Common Council on September 25th, 2008, we all agreed at that time that Anisis would be the fiscal agent for the Hmong Cachet. And if you recall, I shared with you the reason why the elders, the very same elders, chose that name because when Cachet House was closed, they chose that name to represent them. In this role, Anisis would be the fiscal management agency for billing capabilities as well as the licensor to oversee the clinicians. Our plan at that time, as I shared with you, was to raise $150,000 as gap funding to keep Hmong Cachet open through December 2018. And in 2019, we would then contract directly with the county for MA and CCS funding, in which at that time support staff, who was then released by Journey and would volunteer, would then get hired when we generated enough venue. In support of that plan, the city, you guys, voted unanimously to support the $40,000 emergency funding for Anesis, as well as the County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to support $40,000 for emergency funding. And additionally, I'm going to refer to the letter from Lynn Green, the county contracted with Anesis Therapy for up to $460,000 of inmate crisis to provide mental health for former Cachet House clients or elders. In the letter from Lynn Green, it also talks about the three agencies, both the Hmong Institute, Anesis, and the Catholic Multicultural Center are the three agencies to serve the population formerly served as Cachet House. So over $520,000 would go towards making sure that there was no gaps. And all that funding, the program, would be open for bid every 5 years, meaning that that money would be allocated up to 2023 for contract in 2024. It's really important because when we talk about the sustainability of this program, this talks about the sustainability. And I also want to highlight that in the last sentence or last paragraph with Lynn, our commitment remains strong serving the Southeast Asian community. We are pleased that the City of Madison feels the same way. And in order for our funds to be most effective, it is crucial, and I repeat that, crucial that the city and the county pool our resources together. This will assure that a strong commitment, strong continuity of service to this part of the community. I just want to give some facts, some background. So the only thing that's changed since September 25th is that Doa decided to leave, resign, and start his own organization. He wants to seek funding. October 1st, former Cachet House staff were hired by Anesis, including Doa, Manila, Nu, Mai, and Bopia, who are all clinicians, and Juliana is a cook. So these are not new folks to these elders. These are folks that were serving them at formerly Cachet House. Bopia is the Cambodian staff that's been working at the temple for 12 years, actually translating for Roger Garms.
Your time is up.
So I just want to highlight also Jamie Kuhn's email about being re-traumatized, being forced.
Is there any objection? Yes,
Yeah.
your time is up.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker is Mai Zong Vu.
Good evening. Do I look that bad? That crooked? What a liar I am, huh? It is so sad that for people who have looked up to me, for people who have benefited from the programs that I created, are now denying the work that I do. Freedom Inc. grew out of a program that I developed when I was in State Refugee Office.
That's not true. Yeah, but you're not supposed to respond that way. Can you respect everybody else and just keep quiet? If you need to speak and there's an opportunity, you speak, please.
I have been in the community all my life, serving the Hmong community. My footprint, if you go on Google, shows the type of work that I do. As you hear from all the things tonight, I just want to ask that you think about the community. I'm speaking in support of the resolution and ask that this be put to a stop because of the following reason. Going to an RP does not honor the elders, but encourages others to be rude and disrespectful to the process and to Anesis especially. It signals to our community that you can resign when things don't go your way and start a new agency and be entitled to the fund. As you all heard, Doa resigned in the process. It was never my intention to take over. Rather than putting out the fire and let the elders begin to heal, you as leaders tonight can decide to prolong this trauma or put an end to tonight. The reason Dua and I disagree is because accountability. Dua wants to hire his family back. And I said, that's not what we agree on. The agreement to go into as a community effort is to sustain program for the community, not to hire his family back. That's the main reason why Dua left, to start his own organization. I work for the state. I do things on my own time. I also know a lot of ethical issues. And I want my community to be accountable. I use my reputation, my resource to leverage the GAP funds, and I'm not about to give it to Dua so I can ruin my reputation.
I think you are being disrespectful to everybody. Can you please not? Yeah.
I'll have to remove you if you continue to.
Yeah. All right.
I speak because I don't want my community to be doing things that, shouldn't be doing. I work and I know laws, and I want to make sure that we don't use culture defense when we want it to. And accountability is the disagreement, and that's why Dua quit to start his own organization. We wouldn't have to be here tonight if Dua agreed to the whole agreement as we speak and as we agree on. But the fact that Dua disagree and Dua quit and turning all the elders and using the elder to leverage. The question is Dua entitled to the elder? No. The elders should have their own free will to decide on where they want to go to services, not be led by someone who feels that because they've been in Kashia House for 18 years, they are entitled to the fund, regardless of what we use the fund for. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person is Bofia, so? Danny. And then after that is Chia Chang.
Good evening, Common Councils. I truly understand that this evening is very intense and very hard to decide which program to choose, as the line is getting thinner and thinner, and the decision is harder and harder to make when it comes to a split end. My name is Bo Pia So. I am a service facilitator and a Cambodian case manager with Anissa's Therapy and Move Kashia, serving the underserved Cambodian community in Dane County. Prior to working with these new wonderful and supportive teams for the last 4 to 5 months, I have worked with Journey for 11 years before my Southeast Asian project program have been defunded. I would like to honestly say thank you to Myra McNair and Director of Anissa's Therapy, the Director of Anissa's Therapy, and to Peng Her and Mai Zhang, the founders of Hmong Institute, for rescuing our programs and taking us under their wings. For the last 15 years here, since I first stepped foot in Madison alone, I have always sought for ways to build a bridge for my Cambodian community to obtain the services they need for their well-being. Through that, utilizing my Khmer writing and reading I learned when I was 9 years old, my research in Khmer history, culture, and in Buddhism. I worked as a freelance interpreter for courts, clinics, hospitals, and other social environments when I am needed to bridge the gap between the underserved Cambodians and the outside community at large. Throughout my 11 years working and helping the Cambodians, one of the most rewarding things I have done for my low-income community was I figured out a fee waiver for them to become U.S. citizens. So during my term, there were many of Cambodians became naturalized. I am sure that there are many possibilities for me to continue helping them from being walled in, from being suppressed, intimidated, manipulated, and divided among their own kind. I know I am here to ask each of you councils to help me do what is right for my people and everyone else. As the evening descends and the stars are rising, I, Bopiso, would like to ask Common Council to vote in favor of my new and progressing team at Anesis and Monks Institute to run the Cambodian program and move Kashia with integrity, respect, and support. Please allow this new foliage to grow and do not snip it off. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Chao Chang. Chao there? No? The next is Pamela. Schwartz, yes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Common Council, I know the mayor is gone now, but thank you for listening to me. Oh, are you? Okay, I didn't see you. You're incognito, okay? So, so I just wanted to say that let's be clear about as far as respect and disrespect. As you can see, there's been that on both sides. And so I want to be clear to the young lady up here who, you know, is saying that we were laughing at the Hmong community. That's absolutely not true. No, it's not true. They're agreeing with me. This lady right here is agreeing. I know she agrees with me. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you. Okay, so.
Please, can you address the council?
Oh, I'm sorry. A point of order. I don't know. What's up?
Yeah.
Address the council. Will do. Okay, and so let's just be clear that respect is really the ultimate character here, and I just want that to be probably at the front of everything. Is that we respect and admire the Hmong community, and that we are here to help. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is John Moore. John?
Hello? Okay. Wait, can you all hear me? Okay. Sorry. Thank you all. I know it's been a long night. First off, I think I registered wrong. I think I said I was going to speak in support. I think I got confused because I definitely do not speak in support. There's a couple things that I do want to address. One is the fact that I've been hearing conversations and testimonies, many, right? But nowhere in there are we actually really talking about the humanity of these elders. Nowhere. And I think that's disgusting. We talk about how people are unethical, all that stuff, but do we actually value our elders? Nowhere in these testimonies have I heard about that being a value. Like caring about the well-being of our elders and approaching their care in a very culturally specific and a very holistic way, right? So that, to me, like, I think that's really upsetting. So there's a couple things I do want to address around like this unethical letter. It was from Jamie Kuhn, and it was actually about Peng and Mahjong having political connection only. To Myra saying that Duo was unethical and quit, and so that he had no mediation skills. He's a guy who has been doing treatment for my people, my mom, my dad, my aunties, grandmas, for 19 years. You cannot say that he doesn't have mediation skills if he's been giving services to my community for 19 years and elders are still going to him, right? And then around this, the Southeast Asian Healing Center banning people, actually it's not true. The Hmong Institute actually put out a letter and actually banned anyone who had contact with the Southeast Asian Healing Center. And the elders, for 19 years have been cared by the same people, psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, the same staff. So all of a sudden, for you all to say that they're not good doesn't make sense to me because you actually hired some of them. And then this whole entire, you are not being trauma informed, so the elders shouldn't be here and all that stuff. I call bullshit on that. Why? My people are survivors of war, survivors of genocide, survivors of resettlement. We have been through shit, right? And here we are fighting for a holistic, culturally specific healing. And then, really. I also want to say, Mahjong saying that the elders should be entitled to get this funding. I totally agree with that. And because of that, this needs to go into RFP. It needs to. It has to. And then secondly, Peng and Mahjong are liars. They use people. You know why? Because years ago when I was doing youth organizing work around school, and I went to a meeting around education, Peng and them never invited me back, and I emailed them and said, hey, we actually need young people in here. Never invited me back. Later on, I found out that he used my name and said, oh, I am actually working with young people. The young people I'm working with is Zhong and her team. Not true. Never contacted me back.
Thank you. The next speaker is Yang Bela.
I'm just going to repeat my name again. My name is Yang Beng Byler, and I am currently, in Hmong it's pronounced Yang Ba, but I am married to a Caucasian, and his last name is Byler, so my full name is Yang Beng Byler. I currently work as a case manager through Anesis. And what we do provide mental health services specifically to the Hmong community, and it is through the Hmong Kashia program. And I just want to give you guys a little bit background on my credential as well. I do hold a BS in psychology and a master's in public health. So when they were saying we were not qualified, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. My degree does matter.
Talk to them.
I'm sorry. Okay. Anyways, so as I was saying, sorry, I'm trying to collect myself a little bit. Okay. I do have 6 years of experience providing services to the Hmong and Southeast Asian community who suffered not just physical but mental health issues. And I just want to say that the services that we are currently providing is culturally competent. And it is completed by qualified staff members. And that is for both the Hmong, the Khmer, and the Laotian community. And I just want to say that overall, we do welcome the Hmong, the Khmer, and the Laotian, as well as other Southeast Asians who need our services with open arms. We have, and just a side note, we do have clients that are new to the program, new to just Kashia, to the Hmong Kashia program. And we also have clients who were previously serviced by the Southeast Asian Healing Center. But we are not going to judge them. We just open our arms and we welcome them. And that is why we are asking support from the city.
Thank you. The next speaker, I think, is Mankia Danwe. Manka Danwe?
Yep, it's Liberian.
All right, Liberian?
Yep.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Manka. I've been here a couple times before. Yeah, I was not even registered to speak at first, but it really just hurts my heart to see Black people coming up and doing the work of white supremacy, so I had to come and speak. So you all are held accountable to these elders right here who actually came and advocated for this money in the first place. So that's who you should be looking to. These are the same exact ones. The city wasn't thinking about giving no money when Cashier House closed down. These are the ones that came that you're actually accountable to. That this is the money that you're arguing with them about. So you're accountable to them and them alone, not these white people out here that can talk about your degrees and everything. That's who you're accountable to. Secondly, the money that we're all discussing is for wraparound services that y'all cannot provide. Y'all already have county money set aside if y'all can get the clients enough to serve them. But this is about wraparound services. So all the things that people from Freedom Inc. and other volunteers have been talking about, picking them up, taking them to go get their medicine, things like that, actually providing like cultural activities and events that they would actually want to participate in and that they have known for the last 20 years, that's what this money is for. So it don't have nothing to do with degrees, actually. And they already have therapists supervising them from an organization, from a mental health organization, Sankofa, who actually knows a thing or two about culturally specific mental health. And yes, they're led by a black woman. So just because you can come up here and do the work of white supremacy and say we have degrees and we're not going to bring our people here, that's not okay. We got to stand for something. We have to have principles. You cannot do that to them. That has nothing to do, them coming here and fighting for their money, let it go to those people right there. Because you can talk about $60,000 that you put in on good faith, but all of the hours and all the money, all the volunteer time that has been put in on this side for the last 4 months far surpasses that, and it counts for more because this is the same community, the same people who came here and fought for this money in the first place. I'm looking at y'all because I want to address my black people as well as them. They can hear me as well. So I thank you for the motioning, but I get it. So I just wanted to address that. And then, again, this money is not for providing therapy and stuff like that. This is for wraparound services. And y'all look over there. These are the same people that came and told y'all about this issue. Y'all didn't even know about this. They're the same people who came and articulated what they wanted. The same elders who I cannot tell them to sit down, leave when they're supposed to leave programming, when I need to take over for programming at Freedom Inc. How can I make them come here or make them not go somewhere else? They tell us what to do. They direct us. Thank you so much. I heard the beeper. Again, doing the work of white supremacy.
Your time is up. Thank you. All right, the last speaker is Chai Mo.
Thank you to the body of the City Council. I wasn't going to speak because I'm no longer living in Madison, but I decided that I had to stand up and speak when I saw another speaker who just moved to Madison and may not have as much connection to the Madison community as I do stand up and speak. I may not live in Madison anymore, but my family lives here, my mom lives here, my heart and soul has always been here, working in some of Madison's most marginalized communities like Ally Drive and the South Side. I have committed my life to working for the better of Madison because I know someday I will end up back here. So, although I don't live in Madison no more, my heart is with Madison, and I'm down here every week for work, for volunteer opportunities, for everything that I can do to support the community in Madison. And I'm speaking now because my family has benefited from Cashier House. So we keep going back and forth, and Anesis, Hmong Institute has been brought up many times. Anesis is not the problem here. And I'm sure an organization like Anesis that's well off does not need $115,000 for wraparound services. Like, let's be honest, $115,000 really isn't much compared to everything else in the city budget. And also, it's not just about money here, it's about doing the right thing. And so some of the things I just want to bring up are things that haven't been addressed or things that you all may have missed. One, just because you hire Southeast Asian people does not mean you are culturally competent. Just because you hire someone who's Southeast Asian does not mean they speak a certain language. You have to be part of the community, and you have to be part of the community. Now, let's talk about a couple different things. Let's talk about respect. Respect is being transparent. Respect is being willing to come to the table with your people when conversations get hard. Where has Hmong Institute been? I have heard there's been many attempts to bring people to the table to resolve this. If you cannot have the hard conversations with your community, how are you to serve them? Now let's talk about hiring family. An organization where the board president is the wife and the CEO is the husband? Let's talk about that. We're a small community. We don't bring stuff like that up because we know that there's limited people who can serve us. So if you want to talk about hiring family, I just want to put that on the table. If there's a conflict with DUA, there's a conflict with Hmong Institute. This is not a courtroom, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to waste my time trying to prove anything besides restating the facts that you may have all missed. Anesis is not the problem here. Hmong Institute is, because they have not been transparent to the community that they say they would serve. As a leader, we have a time when we have helped the community, but we need to know when we're harming the community. And when we're harming the community, we need to step back because that's how we help the community. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last of the speakers who wishes to speak. There are 8 people who are in support of the resolution going to RFP who do not wish to speak. There are 13 registrants in support of the original resolution to not go to an RFP but toward the grant, not wishing to speak. That is all of the registrants. Now, at this time, I'd like to know, are there questions of any of the registrants? Alderwoman McKinney?
Can we take a 5-minute break?
I want to get to that in a second. I will.
Thank you.
All right, there are no questions of any of the registrants. We just got another registration wishing to speak. It's up to you as to what you want to do. What does the council wish to do? Manila, and I can't read your last name, I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to thank you everyone for being here today. I just want to make this quick. I'm one of the ones that stayed with the nieces when all this happened, all this mess. And I just want to state some facts. Unfortunately, when Jua left the nieces, he is looking for a physical agent in the same boat as if he would have stayed with Anesis. Not to state all those reasons why, we're like going back and forth, stating we're right, you're wrong, I just want to say that we could have done this without involving our elders, without splitting our community. Anyone has the right to go and start an organization, but no one is entitled to any elders. I was accused of being the director of Anesis, and you can watch this on social media. When I saw that, I was just shocked. Among other lies that were told. I have been with the former Cashier House for 4 years, and I just wish that all of us, on both sides, all of us, can we just let this go? If we're gonna apply for funding, apply like everybody else does. Please stop the slandering and all the lies. I just want to say that.
Thank you. All right, there are no other people registered. I am perfectly comfortable with a short recess now, but I want to remind everybody we have a significant number of people who have been here all night who are waiting for a decision on what we will do on the resolution, and we've still got 2 very important items to go and address. Alderwoman McKinney asked for a 5-minute recess. I am realistic enough to know that that won't happen. And so if there's no objection, we'll have a 10-minute recess by that clock, and when it is 10 o'clock, we will resume. Is there any objection to that? Seeing no objection, we'll take a 10-minute recess by that clock and resume at 10 o'clock.
Alder Arnson. Here. Balde. Beater Seeloff. Here. Carter. Present. Cheeks. Furman. Present. Harrington McKinney. Here. Kemble. Here. King. Here. Martin. Here. Palm. Here. Fair. Rummel. Present. Skidmore. Here. Tierney. Here. Verveer. Here. Wood. Here. Zellers. Here. Aaron's. Here. We have quorum.
Okay. I wanted to go into more depth as to how we got here, but out of deference to the two alders who are immediately in the queue, I will call on them and then myself. Alderman McKinney.
Hey, I went into the queue because I want to make sure that this gets in the record. I met Myra McNair from Anesis during Read Your Heart Out at Olson School. She requested a meeting. This meeting was coordinated through the council office. The meeting was Friday, February the 22nd at the New Life Center. I was invited to tour this location and was invited to have lunch with the elders. Following lunch, through an interpreter, elders shared powerfully about the impact the division and split had on their community. These elders have been through much trauma and continue to be re-traumatized. I did not understand their language. I was in the room with the elders as they expressed the same emotional strain that we hear tonight. The division has split this community and caused more trauma on the already vulnerable community. The fact that this division is vivid, painful, and emotionally draining is clear. It was disheartening to hear how some of the elders felt intimidated and harassed through this process. In October 2018, the council intervened and allocated emergency funding after the abrupt departure of Journey Mental Health Services. I saw the same number of people on my visit to the new location. This is painful to witness this very public split. How did we get here? And with that, I will not be supporting the RFP.
Thank you. Alderwoman Bedar Seeloff.
I would like to call the question.
I am sorry, but we will clear the room, not of the council members, but of anyone who interrupts the discussion or the debate. This is not the Board of Education. Get ahead. Don't you tell us to continue. Oh, you called the question?
I called the question.
On the question's been called. That means any member of the council can object. Otherwise, we come to an immediate vote. Anyone to speak on the matter? Seeing none, on the vote, all those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. Motion carries. And I'm going to ask for the privilege of the body now, since I was not allowed to speak on this question. I want to explain how we got here. We all know what happened when the funding was cut off from Journey Mental Health. We did the right thing. We stepped in on what should have been a county-funded program, and then realizing that that funding would have ended at the end of the year. I can't speak for the council. I put it in the budget to help bridge into this year, and the council certainly approved. The question is, what did we approve for funding? Now, one of the speakers said this is about wraparound services, and I just want to raise this question for you as we get into the RFP. You are going to have to decide what it is that funding was intended for. My understanding is that it was for mental health services. And that's why I had made the recommendation on the original resolution. If the funding is for something other than mental health services, if it's for wraparound services, then it's another issue. But this is what comes of being outside of the normal process of deciding what goes through community services and not being clear on the purpose of the allocation. So I'm fearful that as we go in through this RFP process, that we're not going to have resolution, and you are going to have to decide what was the original intent, because what I heard all along was that we were funding a vacancy that was created by the withdrawal of the Journey services for mental health. Alderwoman Carter.
Yes, I just want to say that
You called the question, and I took the floor as a matter of privilege because there was no debate allowed, and I had asked for the, I could have done this earlier, but I was waiting for all the speakers. Alderwoman Carter has been called upon.
Alderman Bedard, do you have something to say?
I would like to ask the Attorney May to tell us what happens when you call the question and you vote on it. Are we still on debate? Should we all be speaking on this, or what's the point of calling the question?
Alderwoman Bedard Sealift's in the queue.
So are we done with the item?
Nobody objected to voting
Okay.
immediately. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the queue? Nobody else. The next item, Alderman Waldeth.
I'll move item number 44.
Item 44, is there a second? Motion and a second on item 44. Motion second. Alderman Verveer.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the second substitute resolution, which is at every member's place.
Motion to adopt the second substitute, which is now an amendment to the original motion. Discussion on the second substitute. Alderman Verveer.
Thank you again. To explain briefly, the second substitute resolution incorporates the recommendations of the Equal Opportunities Commission and the Sustainable Madison Committee. Those recommendations are supported by myself and the mayor, the two original sponsors of the original resolution. So there certainly was no objection to creating a second substitute that includes all of the committee recommendations that were not conflicting, with the exception of the Common Council Executive Committee's discussion this afternoon. I was not personally privy to that. I had a conflicting Overture Center Foundation Board meeting this afternoon at the same time. I have no objection to the Common Council Executive Committee's proposed amendment, which was also at each person's desk this evening. But given the fact that I was not present, and because that meeting was only a few
So
hours.
your motion does not include their amendments?
Correct. I thought as a courtesy, I should allow a member of
Okay.
CCOC, Mr. Mayor, to move their own amendments, which again, I'm supportive of, have absolutely no concerns or objection to.
All right, we've already
Thank
got,
you.
just keep in mind, we have one amendment on the floor. Alderwoman Kemble.
I'd like to move the amendment that came out of CCEC this afternoon that is at our table that includes some language clarifying how the staff team will evaluate the RFPs and just separate some of the language for clarity. And it's this one.
Motion and a second. This is a second amendment. Discussion on the second amendment. Seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. On the amendment as amended, if this is adopted, it'll become the main motion. All those, Alderman Aarons.
I'm not, is the issue on sustainability taken out of here?
It's in the substitute that we're voting on now.
Oh, it's in the second subject, right. So this amendment does not remove that. Okay. Thank you.
On the amendment as amended, discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. As now we have before us the amendment as amended is the main motion. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. That takes us to item 58. Is there a motion, please? 57. Excuse me, 57. Alderman Verveer.
I move to refer the resolution to the next Common Council meeting, that being March 5th.
Is there a second? Discussion. Alderman Kemble.
So we talked about this at CCEC as we were talking about the other two referrals. And because this one in front of us does not have to do, has to do with the specific position of the Treasury Manager and not to do with making the Finance Director the Treasurer, which is the nature of the amendments for the other two language. Two language changes, the City Finance Director and Treasurer and City Attorney agreed that it would be okay to vote on this tonight because the other two amendments aren't going to affect this, and CCEC members were comfortable with that. So just to bring you up to speed, that question was already discussed, and we decided we would vote on it tonight.
Thank you. Further discussion? Alderman Verveer.
I appreciate that, again, indulgences, since I had this conflicting meeting at the same hour. Could Mr. Schmidtke or Attorney May explain why is this time sensitive? Why couldn't this wait to be considered with the other two sister items 1 week from tonight? I mean, I'm not comfortable having Human Resources Department advertise this position if the council next Tuesday doesn't agree to combine position.
I don't think that in our timing that it's significant to refer this one also for a week. So I don't think it upsets the timing.
Thank you.
We can't do anything until we have the ordinances done anyways. In fact, I think CCEC didn't have this in front of them, but their thought was we'll just vote on it tonight. I don't think it matters whether you vote on it tonight or do it next week. As you say, I don't think we want HR advertising for a position before those ordinances have been changed.
Yes. Thank you. Attorney May, incorrect, CCEC did not have this item as a referral. Could I just have Mr. Schmidtke's concurrence in that?
That's fine.
Dave, you agree?
That's fine to refer it, yes.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none on the question of adoption, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no? Yeah, adoption of the motion. All those opposed, no. Motion carries, matters referred. Item, are we at 58?
58, so move.
Is there a second? Second. We do have two registrations. First registration is from Deborah Julian, supporting, wishing to speak, and Michael Goldberg, supporting and available to answer questions. Is Deborah still here? No. Okay, thank you. Are any questions of the registrants? Alderman Berman.
No questions.
Oh, no questions. I'm sorry. Okay, we have a motion before us. Discussion on the motion. Alderman Furman. Thank
Mayor, I have two amendments that have been passed out to the alders for consideration. So I'm going to put up the first amendment for consideration, which is an amendment to strike "and possible public" from the now there be it resolved clause, and then also add another clause, be it further resolved that any private security guard shall not carry firearms unless approved by the Common Council.
That's all in the form of one motion, correct?
That's correct.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Motion carries. Do you have another amendment?
That's correct. The next amendment changes amends the be it further resolved clause and calls for strikes at the end for the remainder of 2019 and adds a report will be presented to the Common Council after 3 months of funding, and after 6 months, the Common Council may approve services for the balance of 2019.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? No. Motion carries. Motion before us with the amendments. Discussion? Seeing none, it's a 15-vote item. All those in favor, aye, and we'll do it with a voice vote, and if there's questions, we'll take a roll call. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? No. I heard 3 noes. We'll take a roll call just to make sure if there wasn't 2 more. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, no? Clerk will call the roll.
Alder Arnson? Aye. Aye. Balde?
Aye.
Aye. Bedar Seeloff? No. Carter? No. No. Cheeks? No. No. Furman?
Aye.
Aye. Harrington McKinney? No. Kemble?
No.
No. King?
Aye.
Aye. Martin? No. Palm? I'm sorry. No. No. Fair?
Aye.
Aye. Rummel? Aye. Skidmore?
Aye.
Aye. Tierney? Sorry.
Aye.
Aye. Verveer?
Aye.
Aye. Wood? Aye. Zellers? Aye. Aye. And Alder Aaron's?
Aye.
Aye. That'd be 12 ayes and 7 noes.
12 ayes, 7 noes, the motion fails. Desk, I believe, is clear. Motion to adjourn to be in order. Is there a second? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.